pulled out, so. Yeah, well, they were definitely, out and about down in Norway today. So. My water jug, excuse me, my vodka jug for those that wanna, no, it's vodka, straight vodka. Right there. I have to drink the rest of this in the meeting, so I can have a whole gallon today, which will also mean the bathroom. Thank you so much, Kathleen.
Money,
That
that's
puts-
a need help going to.
Thank you so much. I had several people say that to me, at least 4 that said they tried to put through a pledge, and so. I can do it through the internal portal, and I'll just put your name on the donation. I was gonna be the whole month, in case you have
Okay,
$2 later.
well, this is not our meeting of the month, so maybe I'll actually the next time.
Yeah, absolutely. I see more people coming in. Where's the car going by? I see light in the door. See these cracks in the door? And so when I see it differentiate.
Leslie.
Yeah.
Leanne,
It's in the office,
Leanne, did you get all your power back?
finally. Yes.
I totally sympathize with you. Thank you, Leanne,
What's that?
for letting Rusty and I take showers at your house.
You spend much money up there?
Just a little under 100. We did really good. Really good. Rusty wanted to spend more. Mom was hard on him.
What are you doing?
All right, everyone's time is of value. Thank you so much for coming, and let's get it going at 7:04. Thank you so much for arriving this evening and coming to our rescheduled meeting. I hope everyone got their power back. Doreen, did you ever lose yours? We did, for sure.
We had a couple trees come down on the road, but they didn't hit power lines.
Yeah.
Win-win.
Some people were out of power for cost.
Yes. Yes, they were.
And I just,
They were-
we cut the trees out, which was trees all cut up on the sides of the road. I don't know what's coming up. Maybe.
Awesome.
When I went out, I see.
Who do we have on Zoom this evening?
There's her iPhone had.
Excellent. I think she said 6.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order. First, we would like to approve the minutes of March 21st Selectmen's Meeting, but we do have a couple of suggested changes, right, Lee?
I do, and apologize for not getting into the. Okay, now it's in charge. So the changes I wanted to make on. Oh, God, I had a big second ago. Okay, here we go. Yeah, on page 1 of 4 lines up, from the bottom, it says, the town just stopped plowing the lot of govern discontinued roads. I'd like to change that to change the orders for discontinuing for winter maintenance to be renewed at 10-year intervals.
Okay, here you go. You can mark it right on the
Yep.
original.
Okay, so we'll just. And, also, on the next page, it says 12 roll-offs. And I think that needs to be changed to, and I think it needs to be changed to this.
Do you, David? Do you remember how many roll-offs we had predicted for, you had predicted for down at the parking lot?
It says 12.
It could be 12.
You have that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, okay. That is correct. And you had another one, didn't you, Lee?
Yes, I do. So she asked me to write this down, so I was trying to,
Absolutely.
yes.
Oh, you need
do.
to speak up according to someone on Zoom.
Oh, okay, yeah, the other thing is, under new business, number 8, on the next page, it says the free sale, and I'd like to change that to buy nothing then. Because that's what it's been called from the beginning, but I'd like to stick with that, that title, because, well, because that's what it's been called so far, and it seems to work well.
Okay,
Otherwise I would, move to approve with amendments.
I second that. All in favor?
Yep.
Okay. Next, we want to approve the warrant 19 and payroll warrants for March 27th and April 3rd, which we've already signed.
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor? Great. All right, RSU 10 report. Is there anyone that? Actually, they haven't had the meeting yet, isn't it tonight? School board,
The budget vote, budget meeting in Buckfield's on the 29th.
29th. If anyone here is interested in attending that budget meeting at the Buckfield High School, it's for our local area. I attended last year. It actually didn't last nearly as long as I thought it would. It was about an hour long. Had some good information. I asked a lot of questions. So if anyone else is interested in attending that school board RSU meeting on the 29th of April, love to have you. 29th.
What time?
I think it's at 7,
6:30.
6:30,
Yeah, it's all.
That's at the Buckfield.
I think,
the high school, yep.
And
Is
then
the other one canceled, the one they had, wasn't there one with the
this is the budget vote.
yeah, the
And then-
last one was just a regular school
Me.
board meeting.
Oh, it wasn't.
Yeah, I thought it was a big deal too, but it turned out not to.
And then May 29th is when you go to Rumford to vote for the actual.
You
budget.
have to go to Rumford to vote.
You're
Well,
Invited to.
that's where the actual vote takes place, and then there is a validation vote, but referendum that is, in the voting booth. So you can, so people who don't make it there can vote. Everybody.
When we have a regular vote here.
When we have a vote on voting day, we can give it up or down there.
Second Tuesday, which is what, June 11th, maybe? June 11th.
Or.
All right, do we have a road report that's been submitted by Ben?
Yes.
It's okay. We all know that there was a storm this weekend, just in case you missed it, and one 2 weeks ago. Might have had a little snow. Almost melted though.
Spring weather,
Yeah, I think tomorrow's supposed to be 60, is that right?
it was pretty near that today. Except when the sun was.
Right. Anyone watch the eclipse? Wasn't nearly as the eclipse. Oh, you smarty pants. I almost fell for that hook, line, and sinker.
I'm just coming back, I like going to the 4 o'clock this afternoon, and I just probably.
Wow. Oh my God.
Bad traffic was coming down.
Yes.
My time went to rain there.
Is that where you're coming from?
We were in Roxbury, we were all the way.
Did you go to Rangeley, you said? Rangeley.
Did you have?
Did you go to Heights of the Land or did you go up to Rangeley, Rangeley?
You had.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah. It wasn't totally though, it wasn't the total.
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
Heights of the Land. But
I saw a drone picture of Height of the Land, I guess it was quite a bit.
Yeah, a good turnout.
It wasn't that important to go. into-
Well, that's what Peggy wanted to go up there, but we ended up going up to, Mount Raven High School in Salem and being in the parking lot there, and it was amazing. Practically no traffic, no crowd, picnic on picnic, it was perfect.
I went to Food City after work. We watched it from our parking lot at CM Brown. But Food City, I could just barely get across from your road, what's that called? Weston Road, over to Food City, because it was bumper to bumper coming down from New Portland, Stratton, Kingfield. It was crazy. I was like, where did all these cars come from? It was wild. All right, so road report, it's short, so I'm just gonna read it. The past couple of weeks before the snowstorms, we smoothed the dirt roads and we'll be going out again. Within the next couple of weeks, we'll work on replacing road signs. I will have a proposal for the planning of paving roads and I will present that information at the next board meeting. We need to measure the length of Darrington Road for the proposed plowing submitted by Ben McNeil. Yes,
Can I ask a question about the road thing, like the signs? Now, at the end of Town Farm Road, and I have a picture of it. Our Town Farm Road sign is like in the thing, and it's been
We're
run.
talking about on Stetson Road, and,
The Stetson Road,
Yeah.
corner of Stetson.
yeah, I'm sure he's aware of that.
That sign is in the gutter. It looks like the plow truck must have ran over it like several times. It's like,
Yeah.
who's responsible for paying for that? Is the town, or does that come out of BIM, or does it, I mean, if it's his people that are doing that.
It's a town responsibility.
because he's working on a town contract, but it might not have been him. Someone could have slid through and hit it
You know.
and then he ran it over. I'm not sure, but guess
Well,
what?
you know, yeah,
He's going to fix them.
it's not like,
That's
it's
good.
not like they, have cameras on us and you know exactly what took place. And they don't talk, so how would we know?
There's a lot of them that are down. And it's-
Oh, there's a lot of them down, yeah.
So now either on both ends of Town Farm, there's no street sign for the Town Farm Road. at all, on the other end.
But it's not there.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the constable report. Stephen,
Nothing report, right?
nobody going to the beach or anything? Just checking. It was warm today. All right, code enforcement report. No, 'cause he gave that, well, not yet. Did give one last. ACO report, anything from our ACO? Did we get a report last month? I know she's been recovering
We've
from
received what, one report,
two.
okay.
Yeah,
That's-
okay. Is it you guys all right with me sending a message over to the ACO to get a reporting in, or she's been out?
It seems like you could ask her how's it going,
Oh, I will.
you know.
I'll make pleasantries and say, and she's had someone covering her just because she's been recovering from surgery. And they're still required to do reports for our town. We like to know how many calls came in, how she responded, what the result is. So if you guys don't mind, I'll make that very nice and pleasant message to her. Okay, planning board report. Have they met this month yet? Last Monday.
They have, and, we do have something in here that is, planning board related, and I didn't believe it's on the agenda, and this, I missed out altogether. There's the notice to property owners and abutters is in our packet.
Yeah, Barbara and I sent out letters to all the abutters, the property owners. I just don't have the ordinance. When people start asking, yeah, the lawyer's gonna call me tomorrow because he has some questions about it.
Oh, he has contacted you at least.
Yeah.
And Peggy was asking me about that today,
He
Yeah.
just today.
and
this
I
afternoon.
told her, I don't know.
So I'll know tomorrow.
Just for a little explanation, under the new LD 2022 or whatever.
2002.
Yep. They're looking at growth areas, which we use our old town, planning report,
Comprehensive plans, yeah.
and so, there are growth areas designated in there. And so we use those, in order to update with the new LD, we have to notify those abutters for that growth area, which is what Leanne's done. I know we talked about another meeting, but not everyone here was there then, so. All right, ordinance committee, they canceled last week's meeting because of the snowstorm. And have not heard back from Bonnie to see when she's rescheduling, but they will be reviewing Peggy's, and Peggy will be there from planning board to talk about the changes to the ordinance and stuff around the growth areas. So that will happen when the ordinance committee reschedules.
I
I have a
think she had an email.
I have a question
saying-
for Leanne. You mentioned, maybe the AvCog would draw, on the maps, make it look a little bit more professional,
Sent you emails to 2 different representatives of AvCog. They haven't received an answer yet.
Great, thanks.
Thanks for doing that. All right, fire warden report. Is there anything? I know there's a bad fire in Buckfield. I don't know if there's been anything going on here. Up off the East Buckfield Road,
Oh,
off of Bear Pond Road.
I did hear
Oh, yeah.
that, no.
Yeah, they called in a ton of fire departments, so. All right,
Activity fire down here on Brooks Drive.
yeah,
That's right.
Couple weekends ago, it was no damage.
good.
There was no damage, but there was an issue because the, fire department, this is what I heard tell about. The fire departments came, of course, they can't drive across the
bridge.
covered bridge with their wide equipment. I'm not sure exactly how they managed to get in there, but they did.
Good. Excellent. All right, let's review the treasurer's report.
I give you expense report.
Yeah.
Taxes are starting to come in, even with no reminders. I have received 1 bid for the audit so far.
What was the date?
The 18th.
So they have until the 18th. Well, you know how it is with some of our other bids, people wait till the last second, so.
So we've put our annual audit, right? Our annual audit out to bid. If you are aware of anyone that is familiar with municipalities and might be interested in bidding on that, would you please let them know? Leanne has a packet and it's due by the 18th of this month. Correct? Great. All righty. All right, any oddities in the expense summary report? Anything that we need to be aware of? Besides, we will be charged our service fee for the generators, right? We have 2 people that came and looked at that.
I did complete the quarterly report for the American Rescue Plan funds. And we have to obligate the remaining amount before December 31st. So 5,000 for beach and the rest for roads.
I think that's what we decided.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have to actually use it.
We have what, we have.
We have to use it, right? Well, last year was kind of a weird rainy, and it rained. It was a terrible year.
Well, it seems to me that a lot of that rescue funds wasn't that intended for culverts.
Yeah.
We used about 50,000, but there's 73,000 left.
Well,
I bet there's
I
plenty.
bet we can come up with some more culverts.
Yeah. Is there any information back from FEMA besides
We're
we're
getting-
processing?
We're getting a check for, I think it was $4,600 for the December 22 storm. I finally signed the final certificate or whatever.
Right.
So that should be coming. And they're still working on the May 23 storm.
And then
Which
we'll
was
come
big.
to-
We lost a
then
lot
we'll
of
come
stuff
to June
then.
23 storm.
No, it's the December 22, May 23, December 23.
Well, there was also my road washed out
What
in
do you
June
know that
23 as well.
that storm was?
December 22.
2022.
Yeah.
We're already way back to 2022.
Well, they're combining. Well, that was just for emergency cleanup. They're combining the rest with the May 23.
Mess. Water logging. That's when your road went out. Yes, Lee?
Yes.
Oh.
Went out in May of 23 and in June of 23, just before.
And those funds will be back allocated to, because it came out of roads?
It's gonna go into a reserve account and be spent on roads, because we already spent that money.
Right, because we spent it out of roads in order to fix the roads, but which we already had allocated for other roads, but. Okay, thank you very much. Any questions on the treasurer's report? Great, all right. Okay, next we have the cemetery committee report. Is there anything new you'd like to report? I think I saw Ken, there you are.
Nothing.
I have to tell you that there was quite the article about trees down in cemeteries in the Oxford Hills. And wrecking a bunch of stones and how much they need to get groups together to help fix stones. And I was so proud. I didn't tell them we had a great group because I was afraid they'd ask us to help. And we still have so much work to do, but yeah.
It's something new in Canton, is having a workshop, Atlas Preservation, which we buy a lot of our supplies from. The Canton Cemetery Group is having them, they have a 48 state tour. And they're coming to Canton, making the other location in May, August 12th, to do a demonstration. Atlas Preservation with the Canton Cemetery Group. I'm sure anyone that wants to go is more than welcome.
Are they going, that's Robin's group, right?
That's Robert.
Are they going to a specific cemetery?
Yes.
Wanna wait?
Pine Road.
Don't wanna wait?
Well, it's when it goes.
I'm gonna trust you to remind us of that.
Yeah.
I would.
And is Pine Grove the one right on 108, the big one?
Yep.
I got a bunch of family there. Cool, with all the stumps too. The ones where they're trying to expand and they have all the stuff.
Yeah, stuff, piles, yes.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay, great. Thank you, Ken. Solid Waste Committee, the Solid Waste Committee, did not meet. They didn't have a quorum. So. All right, calendar reminders. April 6th is the AED and Narcan training, which was this past weekend. Did we have a good turnout?
I think there was like 10 people.
That's
I
excellent.
think it went well.
Good, good. April 5th, we had a budget meeting at 7 o'clock. Actually, it was at 6 o'clock. April 10th, we have another, well, they have a waste committee meeting. We also have a budget meeting that night.
It's been canceled.
Okay.
This committee can't meet with.
Right, they don't have enough people.
Well,
Yep.
There are 3 members right now and one.
Yep,
from staff
I
and
totally
4
understand.
non-staff.
Right. So, but I do know that on April 10th, there is a budget meeting. Is that correct, David? At 6 o'clock? Okay, so we can. That. Right, April 11th, nomination papers are due by 5 p.m. And April 15th, the ATV, Bear Mountain ATV Club is meeting here at 6:30. Is there anyone here that can speak on that?
Wow. I just spoke to Liam about it and she thought maybe Kathy could open the doors for us. And I'm wondering if we can come in about 5:45 so that we can set up and we're gonna collect hopefully.
Could you stand up just so everyone can hear you?
Sorry. Kathleen Terrio. Yeah, so our meeting for the ATV club is at 6:30. We're hoping to get here maybe at 5:45 so that we can set up. We're hoping to collect some stuff for the food bank, donations to that, and we want to have snacks and stuff for people, so we want to be able to set everything up and get that organized.
And that's your first meeting of the year?
This would be our first meeting of the year, yeah. Well, of the
Seasoned.
yeah, the officers have met, but not the whole club.
Gotcha, yeah.
This will be the whole club,
And you're doing a food drive for the Hartford Sumner Food Bank?
yes.
Nice.
Yeah, we're collecting donations for that.
And do you have a theme, like just canned goods or anything that they can
We
bring?
didn't specify anything, so we just said,
Non-perishables.
well,
Yeah.
hopefully people, yeah, most people bring non-perishables, so.
Great.
hopefully that would be-
Right, that's a nice thing to do. Good job. Excellent. Yes, Leanne?
The town office is closed on the 15th. I just realized it was a holiday today. I
Can
didn't
you
put
still-
it on the
Oh, yeah,
calendar.
I'm still open, yeah.
Okay. All right, And the town office is closed Patriots Day. Doreen, I heard you running in that. All right, let's see, unfinished business. Next on the agenda is bulky collection, which is currently proposed for June 20th. And we have guidelines for that. We also,
These are more comments that came.
these are comments that came through.
Let me get my
I'm here
feedback.
for-
Pardon me?
I'm here for, I'd like to hear your proposal you're doing for the bulky waste. I'd
Terrific.
like to hear the whole proposal, and I'm here, I'm just representing the Avon Business Association. And any of other violent owners, like the one can't be on their farm, that we fought very hard to get the bulky waste picked up. Especially for the out-of-staters. Because
Yeah.
we do not have a dump,
We sure don't.
so they can't do anything in Maine. If we cancel them. So I want to hear all the uses proposals you're gonna have.
Well, I'm so glad David's here because David did a lot of legwork on that, trying to save.
If I have some information. I want to get the whole scoop.
Perfect.
So I put together a proposal.
David, could I have you stand up? I'm so sorry. I know you've been working all day. Oh, good, he's turned, okay.
What day of the week is June 20th, so
Well,
that's not gonna, okay.
that doesn't matter.
Okay.
So my thought was we had 2 Saturdays. And we picked half the town one Saturday, half the town the other Saturday. And Steve, I think at the last meeting, had a good idea about sending a notice or something out to every taxpayer. So you could bring that sheet of paper when you brought your 1 truckload of bulky waste to either the parking lot down here or maybe up to the transfers, up to the salt shed, one of them. And we would have dumpsters there as well as a loader. So everyone would be able to bring 1 truckload, which that doesn't change either way. I think the current proposal was gonna be, you're only gonna be able to have 1 truckload on the side of the road, one way or another. So you bring 1 truckload and you can dispose of it, and there'll be people there to help unload. They'll also have a trash truck there. So my proposal was, to have 12 roll-offs between the two separate days. To have a loader or an excavator, one or the other there for 2 days. A town employee there for 2 days, a trash truck with an operator there for 2 days. Put some of the small stuff in. And then obviously the labor to bring and to deliver and to bring the garbage roll-offs to Norwich Walk. So my proposal was that we would potentially save $14,225 if we did that versus having pick up on the side of the road. And I went off from actuals from Archie's proposal later. So whether the town decides to do it or not, it's a good savings in my mind. If people don't want to do it, that's up to them. But
Leanne, can you get the last 3 years what we paid for the bulky waste pickup?
almost 30,000 each year.
I don't have it in front of me, sorry. I don't have it.
David, you said it was 30,000.
Pretty close to that. So my estimated was 27,875. 27,875 if we did this year as 1 truckload per se. And had Archie's pick it up curbside. And
That's just $3,000 savings.
no, my
27,875.
27,875, but the proposed total, if we did a drop off here, was 14,255. So you're saving, $13,000, almost $14,000.
And the bins are gonna sit out at the night, so if somebody wanted to come.
No.
those bins into it now.
They would be that night.
And people that come up and open their camps at Memorial Weekend and put their bulky waste stuff by the sides of the road, and don't come back again until the kids go out of school. They're the ones that are gonna complain, because they're the ones that complained before, and that's how we got a lot of dump on the sides of the road, because they had no place to put their stuff unless they hauled it back to Massachusetts.
So right now, we're not supposed to put it out, what, 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
That,
We have some beginning of
So-
June.
But you're not gonna, they keep putting it out already.
Mhm.
well,
There's some right here on
I know.
the foot road.
People can't hear it.
That was, yes.
We're getting, okay.
Yeah. No, I
Everybody,
just wanted to.
oh, no, really, no, really good. They're just concerned they can't hear you on Zoom. So we're hoping that you will stand up and project.
Okay.
It's just the people at home are concerned they can't hear what we're saying.
Well, but when we first went up with this bulky thing, it was one of it because we had so many complaints from the lake people, from both lakes. And they pay over 60% of our taxes in the town. And they're the ones who came in with complaints. And then we created it, and then we did it in May. They complained again because they don't show up to May in May. They don't come until in June. So we appease them and we move the pickup until June to appease the lake people. And the things that these lake people, which pay over 60% of our taxes, we don't educate their kids. We don't plow their roads. We don't maintain their roads. All we give them for their tax dollars is the privilege to live on the lake, which is great, plus their weekly trash pickup. So they're the ones that are gonna complain down the road, so. I listened to all the complaints before, so I'm bringing up some of the complaints that they've had over the years for what we're presenting now. And if you've only got a 1-day pickup, and you send that out to your people that live on the lake, is that gonna be at least a Saturday?
That was my proposal.
So they can try to be here for that Saturday if they wanna put bulky waste in? I mean,
Or 2 weeks before.
Either that, or they bring it to Auburn and pay themselves.
Oh, yeah. you're right.
and they aren't gonna do it.
Well.
What about
Yeah.
those of us that work on Saturdays?
Yeah.
Kathleen?
So I called Melissa at Archie's and wanted to find out, because when Alan was here, he said that Hartford had one of the highest rates of stuff on the side of the road of all the towns.
Yes.
In the last 2 years, Hartford has 80+ and 100+ yards in those 2 years that he's picked up here. What's that?
Tons.
Oh, tons, yeah, okay. Other towns comparable in population to ours are only 50+ to 60+ tons. So you're talking almost double us. I mean, compared to other towns of our size, that's ridiculous. My husband and I have been in Hartford now for almost 18 years, and we have rarely put out anything ever on pickup day. We take care of our stuff. Why should we pay higher taxes? You know, these people that can't get to the dump, well then pay somebody to do it. Why should I have to pay for other people to get their junk that they collect? You know, they should be responsible to pay somebody to bring it there. I mean, I don't wanna have to pay for other people's trash. I'm not using it. I'm being responsible and taking care of my trash. And the other question I have is if we go with this proposal, will this lower taxes at all? Is
No.
this gonna affect
Not this year.
what? But it will if we went this way. I mean, Buckfield and Sumner, I mean, they have to do this weekly. Be thankful we're not doing it weekly, just once a year, that we have to be inconvenienced to bring stuff to the town.
And you are next. Would you please stand and tell us who you are? And they're trying to hear you and we're getting a little
My
quiet.
name's
So
Jeremy Smith. I've been living in the town for 10 years. We have, I've lived in Buckfield and I've done the bulky waste stuff over there. It's a lot easier when you can just go, oh, I've got 4 things, throw them in my car and take them to a bulky waste. Here, when I first lived here, we had 2 pickups. You know, throughout the time, you get something that breaks or, you know, I mean, I got 2 kids, they break things. I break things, I'm large, it happens, you know? So we had 2 of them, small piles on the side of the road. You guys come by, pick them up. Then you went to 1, and then you complained the piles were too big. You took and went from 2 times a year to 1 time a year, and then said, oh, our piles are too big. So I don't understand, it seems like you're trying to take more and more away for things that we only pay, you know, things that we pay for. We homeschool our kids, so we don't have kids in the schools. But yet I pay taxes for schools.
I'm retired, I pay it too.
Right, I understand that, but I'm just saying, we don't have any other perks except for bulky waste pickup.
Fire and rescue, that's a big.
Right,
Al,
I
hold on a
understand
second.
that.
Hold on.
But, you know, we only have a couple of things. And you guys, it seems like every time we turn around, you're trying to take something and make it less and less convenient. So as somebody who works 50+ hours a week, and on Saturdays and on days that things were open, it was, you know, it just seems like it's just making it harder and harder to get rid of stuff, if we have stuff to get rid of.
Right. Thank you. Maura,
I have a question, Leanne, did you say this is gonna reduce our tax or have no effect on our taxes?
Not this year, because our budget is set.
Big pardon?
Not this year, because our budget is set.
Right, okay.
that's part of this fiscal year,
But
right?
if this went through, is it going to reduce our taxes next year, or is this savings going to a specific purpose?
Any reduction in the budget would reduce the taxes.
Okay, so it's gonna go to the general, reduction of taxes, well, come out of the, it'll just reduce our overall tax. Okay, somebody commented, that somebody didn't wanna pay for, pay for this if they don't have any, bulky waste or very little. Well, as somebody else brought up, I think, here's the fact that I'm retired and I don't have any children, but I still pay for children going to school in this town. Okay, so that's just part of how the system works. Okay, and I actually kind of like the fact that if we had bulky waste pickup, and that was another thing, because I think they mentioned that through previous years, how much tonnage that we generate, okay, in this town, and compared to other towns. Well, that tells me one thing, I think. Well, I could be off base here, but I think it tells me that we're not doing a good job at recycling. Because otherwise, if there's, or it's getting to the end of the use of something that we are recycling. And I like the idea of putting my trash or recyclables outside, because there are people who are called pickers. Now, it's interesting that last year I would buy, and I said, oh, I could use those 2 items right there, so I stopped and pick it up. Okay, now that's less that's going into the system, to the stream of recycling. And I know for a fact, Sylvia Mahoney, she goes along and she will pick up maybe some excess lumber that she sees because she uses it at her home or a barn. So, you know, recycle, get the most out of it. And if people want to come by and pick up these recyclables or metal or whatever, let them do it. They're getting a little bit of money for it, okay? And so, but it's less that goes into the system. So I would prefer to keep the way it is. Thank you.
Al, you're next.
What Laura was saying struck a bell in my head, because if we don't put on the side of the road, we might end up with more tonnage. Because people aren't coming picking it up. I never thought of it that.
But he's right. Well, he's got the buy, if we
Oh,
do the buy
oh.
nothing thing, everybody bring that stuff here and people come
Yeah, I know
here.
what I'm talking about. These guys go around with trucks and pick up metal like crazy.
Well, we're gonna use that as a.
Hold
When you
on.
put it out and then you pick it up, put it in your truck and bring it. But if you can get rid of some of that.
No, we have a question right here. I gotta go next. And who's has a
Norma.
question? Norma, hi. You're on. Norma, are you muted?
Hey, hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So I put a long remark in the chat box, but I can certainly read that. You know, I've been a resident, my husband and I, in Hartford for over 20 something years. I pay taxes at 3 different properties. Currently, I don't agree with this proposal. I agree with some of the comments that are being made tonight about, you know, we pay taxes, you've taken away one of our bulky trash. So now you're going to have people put even more at one pickup, which yes, it is going to cost the town more because people are saving it. They only can get rid of it once. And I think this is a bad idea if the expectation of that Hartford residents, taxpayers, are expected to bring their bulky waste to one area. This would be a hardship for all residents of Hartford. Not everyone has a truck to use to load it onto, move it, take it. It's great. I'm hearing that, yeah, they're going to be people there to unload it once you get it there. But there's residents that are not able to do that. And you have a lot of elderly residents in the town of Hartford. They're not going to be able to do that. And then also too is you've already decreased the pickup to 1 time a year. You've taken away, you know, one of the things that we get for paying taxes. I mean, right now, I do not have children. I'm paying a school tax. Okay, I continue to pay a school tax for a school that I don't have any children going to. My taxes, I do expect the bulk trash to be picked up at my properties. And you've already decreased, like I said, 1 to 1 a year. And really the end result is, I think that this is a poor decision of this proposal to approve this proposal. And also you would only create more personal dumps on resident land. I have one near me right now and it's not pleasant to look at. And it will create more because people are not going to load up their stuff and drive it to town of Hartford. I don't live very far from the town of Hartford, if that's where you're going to be having people bring it and pick it up. But you've got people that this is going to be a hardship. They're going to have to pay for fuel. So, and again, you know, people work. I don't agree with this.
Thank you very much. I think the next one is David.
So what do you think people do in Buckfield, Sumner, Canton, Turner? They don't have curbside pickup. Very few towns our size have curbside pickup. Very few. I'd like to know one that does. Okay, there's one. So, and you said, you know, people will come and pick up metal. Well, we actually get paid.
I don't misspoke, I thought about it after I said.
We get paid $100 a ton for it.
You know,
And a lot of people pick up our metal on the side of the road, so that's money out of everyone's pockets. So I think our metal is gonna definitely increase. We have whatever we call it, the free day or buy nothing day. So if you have a good couch, chair, whatever, bring it here. If someone doesn't take it, then it will go to the dump or in the dumpster. But, you know, people are just thinking of themselves and not the whole town.
Exactly.
You know, you gotta think of, everything is going up and up and up, and you gotta be creative. And you gotta think out of the box. So I'm just trying to save money for everyone, not me, I could care less, whatever the town or the select board decides to do, I'll agree with, but. Just think about other people, I guess, that are less fortunate and have a hard time paying it. That's all.
Okay, I'm gonna let Lee speak because everyone, a lot of folks have already had a chance and she's,
Well, let's make sure that nobody else on the phone that has anything to say.
yeah, but I'm still gonna return to Kathleen and to Al.
Okay, so I just want to talk about it myself because, I don't know how many of you folks remember that far back, but before I was on the select board, I actually was a transfer station attendant. And I know Dave remembers it, and, the town, magnanimous as it is, sent me to quite a few trainings on the subject of solid waste. And one of the things I learned at, one of the trainings was a whole weekend. And one of the things I learned in one of these workshops was that when a town wants to institute a change in their solid waste program, that it was exceptionally important not to spring it on folks, but to take as much, as you probably remember me telling you this when you were on the select board, maybe you don't, but they said that you should take as much as 18 months to educate people, to talk to people, to discuss the thing, and to get it all your ducks in a row before you make a change. And so that is the one thing I wanted to say. The other thing I wanted to mention is that our solid waste committee, which we have from time to time, had a solid waste committee that was actually a working committee, made a three-legged proposal, basically, that was that we reduce the amount of waste that people were allowed to put out on the side of the road, that we reduce the amount of time they were allowed to set it out, and third was, of course, this buy nothing day where the hall is filled with all kinds of things that you didn't really want, but that somebody else might be able to use. And that's it's a proposal that has been made. Now, the buy nothing day has happened. This will be the third one this year, but the rest of this has never actually been implemented. So we haven't had a chance to see if that would actually work for the town. The other thing is, I've heard from an awful lot of people. And somebody mentioned we have an awful lot, I think it was Norman who mentioned we have a lot of elderly people in this town. Well, look around the room, but besides that, there's an awful lot of old people in this town, people who are disabled, and people who don't have pickup trucks. It was said one night, well, most everybody has to, somebody knows somebody with a pickup truck, and most everybody does, but when the numbers were run, and this is again approximate, $14,000 divided by 800 households comes out to $17.50 a person, which it's going to cost a lot more than $17.50 per person for Granny to have her old mattress and a rug and put in somebody's truck and carry it off. I mean, most people who work for somebody don't work for $15 an hour, especially if they're including their truck into the bargain. It's probably more like $30 or more, depending on, depending on everything. So I still think that there's a lot of moving parts here. The idea of giving people a certificate to show that they're from Hartford might help, because then if your guy from Oxford with the truck is showing up, that might work. I know in Auburn they use your registration, but that's not going to work for people who aren't using their own vehicle to do this. So I guess I feel like there are an awful lot of moving parts to this still, and my training in solid waste to take your time in making a change like this leads me to think that this is not the right proposal for us at this time. I'm not necessarily opposed to it forever, but I think that this is rushed.
We have Marla and Robin on Zoom that would like to chime in. Marla, would you please go first?
How much is a salary going to cost to manage the dumpsters?
How much is the salary for the person who would manage the dumpsters?
I figured 25 an hour is what I put down on my proposal.
Marla, he said 25 an hour.
For how many days are we planning? Just one day?
2 days,
16 hours,
16 hours.
$400 total.
Do you hear that? 400 total, Marla?
And you're only planning on having one person out there managing all of the traffic?
No, We actually had planned on having more than one person out there.
So how
Just
much is that gonna
there's
cost?
one loader.
Person with a loader as well, yes, so there'll be person with a loader. And a town employee and a trash truck operator. So there'll be actually 3 people.
There'll be 3 people there.
That's $75 now.
Wow. No, I figured the trash truck at 110 an hour with an operator. The loader, I figured 120 an hour with an operator. So the loader for 2 days, 16 hours was 1920. Town employee was 16 hours at 25. For 400, trash truck operator, 20 hours, because I figured an extra time for them to get here and get back to Mexico. At 400, sorry, 2,200. And then labor to deliver and take away the roll-offs at 36 hours at 110 for 39.60.
Okay,
Are these the prices we're paying whether we have it beside the road or at the town office? Either way, we're paying for this?
correct. That is part
For
of
the
the,
same amount either way.
yeah, we pay that hourly rate regardless. Except for
So
the
there's no difference?
With-
$13,000.
$13,000 savings.
For worker pay, for salary pay?
For the total overall change, if we were able,
Be 3 more.
I guess I'm not understanding. So if we're not paying anybody extra to go there and manage the dumpsters? We don't have an extra expense to manage the dumpsters?
yes, that's all part of the total budget that would still save about $13,000.
It would save $13,000 if we had less trash? Or it would save $13,000 on the salary to manage the pickup?
Overall. See, I think some of the concerns that the select board and townspeople have had is that, and Archie's corroborated that when he was here, that one week there's no trash and on Tuesday, and then Thursday he comes to do pickup and he's got 100 feet of trash at a location that had no trash prior to that, knowing that that's not one person's large item pickup. And the ordinance committee has actually proposed that we have 1 pickup truck load per family,
The solid waste committee.
and which we've not yet been able to institute. They put that through this year. So if we continue with the current contract with roadside pickup, people will be allowed to have 1 pickup truck load rounded at their location. And we've actually, good old Leanne has redone the curbside bulky waste flyer based on the changes. So, but David's proposal would save, including salaries, compared to only townspeople will be able to bring their trash versus other people just dropping it off in other people's pile. We think that the change would be pretty dramatic and would save the town proposed about $13,000.
So if we have the same amount of trash, what is the salary difference on paying somebody to be there to manage it? Like, what are we actually saving? Or are we costing ourselves more money if it ends up being the same amount or more trash?
Tracking, right?
I don't know what that.
I don't either.
Where are we saving the money? Isn't it the trucking going around town to everyone's house?
Also, most of it was trucking, and there was also 40 tons of bulky waste.
So we're planning on saving money by not having as much trash. Is that what we're saying?
And trucking, the trucks, multiple trucks don't have to go around the community with multiple people.
Nice. Can I speak to that?
Please.
Okay, government numbers. So if we had Archie's pickup, the cost would be $17,880. That would be Archie's labor, trucking, whatever. As far as if we had a pickup, drop off site, our labor was 84.80. So just labor alone, we're looking at what, 9,000 roughly?
Okay, I think I caught half of that. Is there a place that we can see this proposal printed out or emailed to us?
You can come to the town office. We have it. We presented it, David presented it 2 weeks ago. And those numbers will be right at the town office, Marla.
Sounds good, thank you.
Thank you, Marla. Robin, you are next on The Price is Right. Come on down.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Robin.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, so I just want to say that I really do appreciate that we do have the Solid Waste Committee and they are putting the time and effort into this. My concern is, like a lot of the others, elderly, people that do not have pickup trucks that cannot get the waste to there. It's going to be an inconvenience. You're going to find, my opinion is, you're going to find a lot more garbage throughout places, off side roads. But one thing I'd like to ask or bring up is garbage is going to be something that this town is always going to have to deal with. We're going to have more people moving in. They're making stuff cheaper. So I get that some people may not have much garbage. They might not buy nothing. They might buy good stuff that lasts longer. I've had a TV for less than 2 years that I am having to hold on to because I can't get rid of it until a certain day of the year. Why can't we somehow, some way, can we have our own dump? Why can't we put the effort, time, even if it's a 5-year plan, so we can have our own dump, so people can go twice a week?
That is great feedback, Robin.
Same problem though with the elderly having to get to the dump. If that's her complaint, it's the same issue.
Actually, the thing of it is I remember back in the day when Sumner had people that for a few dollars a week would come to the elderly houses, and they did agree it's a cost for the elderly or for the people who don't have pickup trucks. However, these people came every single week and picked up their garbage and took them down to the Buckfield dump. So, I mean, if we had a dump here, I'm sure that you'd find a couple of people every week that want to make a little bit extra money that would go around for those people who don't have trucks and would take the garbage. It would be a little income for them. That's all.
Thank you.
I
You want to rebut?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're looking for members for the committee. Feel free to join.
Robin, we would love to have you be a part of the Solid Waste Committee. So we could.
I don't know if that would be a good idea or not. I don't know. I got too many plans that I like to see happen for the town. And I mean, I think that eventually we're going to have to go in that direction. Or else we're going to have to continue to pay higher prices to get rid of it, because the dumpster thing 1 day a week is not 1 day a year, I should say. I don't see how that's going to work properly.
Next is Moral, and then we have Norma, and then we have Kathleen. Moral.
I have a question. Was it Solid Waste Committee, are they the ones who determined that, you could have one pickup load?
Yes,
Am I correct?
yes.
Now, could they define for me what a pickup load is?
The select board makes the decisions.
Yes.
Okay.
That was recommended to
Is it going to be a small, truck like my Tacoma? Is it gonna be a short bed, full-size pickup? Is it gonna be an 8-foot bed full-size pickup, what's it gonna be?
We meant a full-size truckload. We were trying to
Okay,
get some
so
sort of,
So if I have a Tacoma, I can bring two then?
correct.
Okay, now,
Or a car, you could come multiple times.
what's that?
If you had just a car, you
Yeah.
could come to the roll-off more than once, because
If
you
I-
only can
okay,
fit.
if I just have a car,
This
how-
is one of the moving parts.
How are you gonna determine the volume of that if I have a car?
It's a moving part. We've not determined that yet.
Okay, now here's the other question. I feel. I have another question. I feel this is gonna be a abundant year for recycling at my house. I'm gonna have 3 truckloads. Now, am I gonna get a credit for the next 2 years? What do you think? What's gonna happen? Or do I take these 2 extra ones, take them to my neighbors who don't have anything, and let them take?
There you go.
You're supposed to hire a
What
dump.
do I do? Well, because it's not every year that somebody's gonna have a full pickup load. Do they get a credit just like the government gives you a credit if you have a business law?
I don't know.
Thank you, Maura. Norma, you're next.
An interesting way.
Hello again.
I know.
I'm hearing a lot of valid points. Lee, you made some real, and you don't just spring something like this on people. You need to take the time and invest the time and look at the options for the town. You don't say all of a sudden, next year, we're gonna make this change. It has not been thoroughly thought out on how this is going to affect the town, the people in the town, the disabled and the elderly, the people that don't have vehicles. So thank you for that, Lee. And also too is looking at, I don't see, it looks like you're shifting the cost that the town's paying, the disposal person picking it up, the bulky waste. You're shifting that cost onto the residents of Hartford. They're gonna have to pay the fuel now. So that 13,000 and change that the town's gonna save, that's being shifted back on the residents of Hartford. And that's not right, because we've already paid our taxes. And as far as the 1 truckload full, who's gonna monitor that? Also, I have some concerns, as others do on this call and on Zoom and in person. You have to pay someone to manage the dumpsters, the loader, and it sounded like there's no solid dollar amount for the rental of loader. And what happens if you find that you've got to rent the loader for an additional day? That's going to cost the town. I think that you're going to find that it is going to cost the town more money, and it's going to be more of a hardship, because this has not been well thought out. It might look good on paper, but it has not been well thought. It just hasn't not been thought out. And again, now with the truckload full, I have 3 properties. So am I getting 3 truckloads? First of all, I don't see myself doing that. Being a taxpayer, we don't get a lot of things from Hartford, town of Hartford, for our taxes. And I have really appreciated, and that is one of the things, the bulky waste and the trash being picked up at the end of my driveway, that has made such a difference in this town. And I agree with the young lady that talked about back in the days when we used to go to the Buckfield dump, and there was less trash and it was managed well, and then they closed that. And again, some weeks I may have more trash than other weeks. We can't, so it's not a solid plan, and I do not agree with it. And Lee, to your point, I think that it does need to be thorough. It needs to be looked at, and it has to be figured out. I don't see that there's any kind of a breakdown of what the savings are. I'd like to see the dollar amount. You can throw $25 an hour out there that you're going to pay someone to monitor the dumpsters. Where's the research in that? Where are you getting your information? You know, and then you're gonna be having a few other people that you're gonna need. What if somebody's sick? Who's gonna do this? Do you put in ads?
Yep. All right.
So
Thank
it's just
you,
my
Paula.
point. Thank you.
I'm gonna move to the next person, but we really appreciate your input.
Thank you.
First of all, I want to say, this has been discussed at several meetings over the past month and a half, 2 months. So if you want to know more, you got to show up to the meetings. We had the paperwork here. He had it printed out 2 weeks ago. There's nobody here. I show up all these meetings. There's a few of us. There's a handful of us. Only when there's a problem are people showing up. We need to be more respectful and show up for these select board members that are putting all this time and effort into our town, and then just only complain when it's convenient. We need to be more proactive, is that the word I want to say? But anyway, my husband and I are now both retired. We live in off Social Security. We pay over $5,000 in taxes on one property, not three, one. And we don't use the trash pickup because we are respectful and use our stuff and take care of it. Why do we need to pay for the people that abuse it? Because there are obviously people that are abusing it when our towns has twice as much as towns that are population that are equal to it. The other thing, depending on if we do this and when it's done, my husband and I are willing to volunteer to help people that are elderly, disabled. If they need it, we'll bring our trailer, we'll go pick up stuff for people, we'll help people. That is what neighbors should do. Neighbors help neighbors, take care of stuff like that. Why should all taxpayers be responsible for everybody's trash when they don't have the trash? Just, I mean, yeah, you're gonna pay more fuel, but yeah, you should, because why should I have to pay more money when I'm not using it?
Yes,
I
Al.
got a question for Dave. So we're talking about the metal, I messed up, like I said that. Right?
Yep.
So how much iron did they get from us? How much metal tons did they get?
3 ton.
3 tons?
I estimated 6 ton.
Okay.
If
That
we
was
did it
the-
for the drop off.
Right. So there's a big savings right there.
It's only $300.
That's it. I think metal's gone up. I'm starting to hear people.
I use $100 because that's what Archie's used in his estimate, so I try to compare apples to apples.
Okay, that's good.
I just want to add in, we still have 2 more people, and then we're gonna wrap this up. I happen to live on Bear Pond. I was a seasonal resident, now I'm a full-time resident. I'm the only full-time resident within quite a while ways around me, but my neighbors who only come up and they really base that on when the large item pickup is. They get in here and get stuff cleaned out, mice, whatever might have gone into their camps over the year, and it's not, for me, I'm thrilled to see them up doing that, because it's the only large item pickup for them. I know the ordinance committee and the bulky waste committee has made some great recommendations on, like what Archie's agreed to do that day is if someone has something off season, he could take it if you brought it to him and let him know you're from Hartford, they would accept that. So we do have some other options so people don't have to sit on stuff all year, but it does mean that we're gonna have to get it over to him, which is not easy, especially if you're a seasonal resident. I do know, because I do live on Bear Pond and there aren't a lot of people there right now, that I see folks come in when it comes to bulky waste, when they're putting stuff out a month ahead, and there are people in putting stuff out that don't belong there. They're going to roads that don't belong there, which is one of the reasons why I think David had a great idea to try to look at alternatives. This whole conversation to me is fantastic, because it's gonna help us work closer to a better solution for trash, which is only gonna go up. And don't get me wrong, I love having end of the road trash pickup. I'm concerned about some of our roads that aren't good to get a trash truck down, but that's another whole conversation. So, that's just my input as a person that lives on the pond full time. We now have Cody, and then we have this gentleman right here after. Cody, you're next.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I'm late to the game. I didn't get to write a letter, but I just wanted to jump on and voice my vote, I guess. My concern would be is people that don't have pickup trucks, elderly people as well. I don't think it's fair to them, and I don't think the savings really justifies it. I mean, if we're gonna divvy up, it seems like a big amount, a big number. We put it all together, but when we divide it out between every single property and all the tax, I don't feel like it would be a big enough savings to really justify it, because I think somebody else mentioned this as well. These people are gonna be like, hey, can you bring this mattress? Can you bring this whatever down to the dumpster for me? Here's 20 bucks. All their savings are already gone right there. That would be my concern. Also, I feel like, having trash pickup, having bulky waste, part of the reasoning of it behind it is to get the trash into the trash places, which are, it's supposed to be for the environment, right? We're supposed to get it off of our properties to keep our properties safe, and so all this isn't leaching into the ground, which is kind of a mind trick because it's just going into a different place that we don't see it. I get that. But at the same time, I think my personal opinion would be, I mean, I do have a handy dandy pickup truck at this point, but if something's really bulky, it's way easier to drag it to the end of the road, end of my driveway, than it is just to go, even if it's just a mile for me. It's just going to be that much more, I don't know, annoying. And then I don't know what's going on that day. What if something comes up? I haven't really looked into it. Are we doing this 1 day, 2 day? I didn't really look into that part. But even still, it's easier to plan out, oh, hey, here comes June. Let me just drag my stuff down there. When it comes by, it'll be gone. Rather than, oh, I got to make sure I'm home that day. I got to make sure I get all my stuff in the truck that day. I got to make sure I can get down there. I got to make sure I can get help. I don't think I can lift this stuff up into the dumpster myself. I think it's going to be more of a hassle versus the cost for me. I'd rather pay that personally in my taxes, if I'm already paying it anyway, to just be able to haul it down to the end of my driveway. To the rebuttal, I think it's very nice of that lady to volunteer her time to go and help everybody. That sounds amazing, and I do agree with that. I think our community needs that, but I feel like it's going to be hard to schedule all of that. How are you going to find out who needs the help? How are you going to know about that in advance? How are you going to schedule all that? I think it sounds really awesome. I hope that could work out if that's the way it goes. I think it's going to be a little, and then some people are going to miss the boat. They're going to be like, I didn't know I could have gotten help with that. Not everybody is contacted, it sounds good, but I think right now, I'd like to see the bulky waste stay at the end of my driveway. It's much easier. That's my opinion. Down the road, I think a dump would be a better route for all of us than have people that can sign up for trash pickup, that somebody is gonna, go out and volunteer to make a few bucks. I think that is the ultimate. I think that would be better, like Buckfield and Sumner do it, but this is what we have right now. I'd like to see the bulky waste stay.
Thank you.
That's it.
And to wrap up, oh, and Doreen, you're wrapping up.
No, you can go first.
Right, you'll wrap up. You'll. Yeah.
So, first of all, I just wanna say, she keeps mentioning she doesn't have to pay, she doesn't think she should have to pay, but yet she still has to pay for schools, she still has to pay for fire and EMS. It's part of life as being in the town to pay your $17 for trash pickup. Cause that's what it seems like it's come up,
For bulky waste, yeah.
And as for your tax amount, how much land do you have? I pay, $3,000 in taxes. I've got 3 acres of land. So you obviously have more land or a bigger house than I do, so your taxes are based on that, as well as the other stuff. This pretty much all stays normal. Everybody pays, the same amount. Your house and your land, what?
We're all paying the same rate.
Right, we all pay the same rate for whether we have a bulk of trash or not. That's just part of town life.
We all pay the same rate.
And I lost my train of thought, but I think, so that's my thoughts on that is if, if we're trying to save the money, then just seems, you know, and I have other issues, but I'll
Thank you.
keep those to myself.
Gets worse when you get older. Doreen, yes.
Okay. My thing, I don't like the idea of the one dump truck pickup. Because if somebody has mice come in and chew up 3 mattresses or whatever, and they end up having to clean the whole damn camp out because they've had mice or a raccoon or whatever. My neighbor got a raccoon come down her chimney and made a heck of a mess, so they had a bit more to put out that year. I always had very, very little to put out, it's very small, so it offsets somebody that doesn't get, that needs more. So I don't like the one truckload per family. And this year, I have 3 things to go out, 2 of them are carpets. And one of them's this Beck last storm, it bent my nice, beautiful wire arbor all to pieces. And I would have no way to get that down here unless I asked the neighbor, can you haul this for me? And they would. I won't say they would. But they would, so. I think you need to talk with more people that live on the lake, because like I said, 60% of our taxes come from our lakes.
Can I just say something about Bear Pond? I live on Bear Pond and on Blueberry Drive, there's 17 of us. Only for my siblings and I, and maybe one other person put stuff out. None of the people that live out of town ever put anything out on that road.
Garden Drive, I know. Yeah.
So I just had to say something about, you know,
We don't have anybody come in, the whole road could say is in one spot, and we don't have anybody come in and all their trash to ours. We put it all on the farm. Yeah, and the other thing, correct me. Fayette does not have trash pickup. If you have trash pickup, you pay a monthly bill. They have a dump, they can take their dump to retail dump, they have an arrangement with Fayette.
No, okay, because I was, I was working in Fayette for quite a while, but they certainly have a weekly pickup.
But your son is sending a check in every month, or they're charging his account every month to pay for it, because they don't pick it up if you don't pay. Yeah, they're contracting with the company, the town does, that doesn't come out of town money.
Okay, Ken, and then tomorrow, and then Dave, really.
I thought you said you were done.
I know, we had new hands.
I just want one time, if people talk all at once. I'm in favor of the change. Lee, I don't know where you got your number at 1750 ahead. I don't know how many people in town, you counting residents or individuals?
Households.
Households, how many households?
The numbers, I didn't actually crunch those numbers myself, it was based on 800.
800?
800 households.
And 750 households. It's $44 a head. A household. Because the budget for this coming year is $33,000 for bulky waste. So that's the actual cost. So yeah, I think you need to check your numbers a little bit better. I think that, you know, we're not taking anything away, we're just moving. So we're not losing anything here. We're moving it down the road. People can be responsible for their own trash, enough to bring it down the road. And there's people like has been brought up here tonight that will help do that for people that can't do it. So there are options. Change isn't easy, but the only constant in life is change. And I think it's time for the change. We don't need to now have this go on and on for 5 years to move it down the road. That's the only thing we're doing. Saving money, $13,000 to $14,000 per year. That's a substantial amount of money.
Wow.
The lady who's sitting beside you, who I own property, but just to do her, right? I can understand why, because it's kind of not really isolated, but it's on the main road. But then again, they're probably the last people to get power back. Right? Yeah. So.
That would be correct, Garden Drive.
That's correct, because you know, too. I was sitting up there with 15 seconds of power outage. And yet I have neighbors who are almost every day.
Thank you for the text messages and offering to feed us and get us
I didn't
water.
know what about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were out a long time. David.
So I've heard several people say it's $17 per household, right? So 13,600 and some odd dollars. This is one line item in the budget. I'm on the budget committee, okay? What if the roads want to increase 20,000? What if, who knows? The fire department wants to do 20,000. It's okay, it's only 20,000. But where do you stop?
Right.
That's my philosophy. Where do you stop? So that's the only reason I was looking for some options to try to save. And it's for everyone here, not me, everyone. That's all.
Really quick, because we have Sarah online.
Your
Yes.
neighbors are almost all out of staters, out of towners, and are they gonna come up the 20th of the month to bring their trash over here? My neighbors aren't. I've got one that lives in North Carolina. I've got one that lives down in Scarborough. The one in Scarborough might come up if we tell him, okay, the 20th of the month is the only time you can bring your trash, give all your waste and bring it over here. But the one from North Carolina,
Well, it might be the 20th, it might be a different day.
I know it does, but it's, you
Right.
need it yard.
Oh, I have no idea because we haven't reached out to them and I haven't seen them. Many of them come back from Florida, whatever, near Memorial Day. So,
Yeah,
They're
and a lot of them come just up on weekends.
yeah.
They don't stay. I think, can I make a proposal that when you send out the next tax bills, you put this proposal in the tax bills? And we'll vote on it for next year, and then let some of the taxpayers, not just the residents.
No, I get it.
The taxpayers that it's gonna affect.
Right. Yeah.
That's just a suggestion.
And Sarah. Sarah online.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. So I just wanted to throw in my 2 cents. I know I've talked to several people extensively privately, but just being a part of this, I am all for changing the way we do our trash system and updating things. I think there is definitely room for growth. I think this specific idea is unfortunately, like a lot of people, not smart, not going to be very effective for us. I think the fees for and against, I know we're trying to nitpick it here and it is a lot of money overall, but I think that this isn't fully thought out. I've tried to crunch numbers carefully myself. I like numbers. I like crunching numbers. And I looked at it and I don't see how this makes sense. I would love to see a longer term plan and a better solution proposed. I think overall people are just really, when you have a regular system, a regular drop off place like a dump, it's not just a 1-day pinch. I think that's where the bigger pressure and expense comes in and a lot of worry for people that making all this happen on such a short time frame. If we have a regular place to go and drop things when needed in smaller amounts, and it can be arranged and it can be flexible and it can be seasonal, it can be, whenever the resident needs to use that service, it's available to them. When we're trying to pinch it down into 1 day, that's where people are getting worried and stressed that it becomes an expense because there's a massive time crunch and time is money. So I personally would love this to not happen right now. That's just me.
Richard.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, well, my advice is if you've got bulky waste, go on a diet.
Thank you, Richard. A little levity is good. All right. We so appreciate everybody's input today.
Changes time.
Is this where we vote?
What things, yeah,
It is?
well,
Well,
it's
first
up
we
to
have-
you if you want to table it or not, but we gotta approve this someday too before June so we can get it out here.
That was the other thing, the difference of how much yardage or tons, whatever we use compared to other towns, a lot of it has to do with what we're allowing to be picked up. And I don't know what the difference is, but.
which part of town is made up on each day. And of course, it says curbside, we'd have to take that, we'd have to, this would have to be, we'd have to be retyped. So, that's something you can say, that we can't, until, we label that and say that, yes, this is what we're doing, or,
May I make a suggestion? I'm sorry.
wait, yeah.
So if you're contemplating things, it's already in the budget this year. Maybe try the one truckload curbside pickup this year, see how that goes, and maybe pursue this for next year. It's an option, but
And really encourage people to bring their stuff that is usable.
either way, it's gonna be one truckload.
Right.
So,
Well, they
you
can
know,
only do as
but,
much
you know, we
stuff
still
as they
have the
want.
cost of the pickup, the hourly pickup from Archie's, which is roughly $9,400. So that's my suggestion. It's up totally up to you.
Do that and make the change next year.
I'd like to propose that we look at the system that David proposed, but with more feedback and more solutions, more answers. I don't think we have enough solutions right now and enough information to get this all done before June. I know I have not talked to my neighbors. I haven't seen them. And being on the pond, as you said, we pay a lot of the pond folks and lake folks pay 60% of the taxes for the whole town of Hartford.
It used to be over 60%.
Oh, I remember they had to redo it.
Well, if you had a good idea, send them a proposal out with tax bill and see what your feedback is.
Well, we
You
need
can also
committee
be
members
stuck in
too.
the Hartford
Yeah.
meetings as well.
Yeah. So I propose that we table this, we create a committee to do some serious thought about looking at our trash
It's
solutions.
called the solid waste.
And that this year we stick with our bulky waste pickup with the new rules and on the recycling form that we give people resources that they can go to Archie's and bring that TV right now, that they can do things and not sit on it for a whole year until next year, because that's a lot.
But I think that costs money.
Taking it up there.
Yes.
Well, then individual people should pay for their own trash.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure if you bring something to Archie's, he's gonna charge you.
Exactly.
So,
I know Auburn, the way they do it, they go to the big Auburn recycling thing, and they've got to either have a tax bill or whatever it shows, but it actually gets billed to the town.
I think Archie's will charge the individual, but that's something,
Right, we'd have to work that out, we don't have an answer. Because maybe it'd be better if they brought it and they charge whatever the $3 to the town or whatever it is that they would
No,
charge.
dangerous.
Yeah.
People will be bringing stuff there.
But again, this all needs to be vetted, we don't know, we don't have solutions yet.
The lady that talked a lot, if she would like to head up the committee, that would be fine.
So, but right now, to move forward,
Are you still talking? You're
Oh.
still letting people?
no,
No.
no.
Sounds like.
So I'm proposing that we keep the bulky pickup the same way. And that we look into making changes and solutions and getting more information to possibly make a change next year.
Can I make a suggestion? That anybody who's here who really cares about this stuff, consider becoming a member of the solid waste committee? I wish you would, because the fact of the matter is, we don't have enough people to even hold meetings at this point. And, that is, it's a huge frustration for the other members. And, you know, this is where our good thinking on the subject of a waste program should be happening, is in the committee. And then to be able to come up with answers that they can bring to the select board that we can, you know, we can work with.
So I made that proposal, do I have a second? Great, second, all in favor?
Wait, who's second, Kathy?
Nope, leave it. Okay,
So are you accepting this flyer?
Yes.
Yes.
we are. With the June 20th bulky waste pickup at curbside.
One pickup. Not.
Large pickup.
Excuse me, could I ask a question?
Well, we've already,
Hello?
in regards to the proposal we just passed, Lenny, or?
Yeah, I was just curious if you're going with the one pickup load and 2 weeks in advance.
Absolutely. We've
was,
already been putting stuff on Facebook, Lenny.
Okay,
Yeah, we've asked people
okay.
to put stuff out.
I've been stuck in traffic coming back from Jackman. I don't even know where I am now, but I had intended to tune in, and I thought we were going with the pickup load that we developed in the solid waste committee.
Yep, and we are.
Okay, thank you so much. I just got a signal to be in here, so carry on.
Thank you. All right. Next is the quick claim deed for a Nye. This is a gentleman that was here last meeting.
Yeah, I did change the dates because your meeting had changed.
Yeah.
And I had all the supporting documents, it with the booking pages, and so.
All we need to do is sign it. We don't have to vote because we've already voted. We'll do whatever you want.
Probably make a motion.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we provide this quick claim deed for the original property owner, the Nye family, which we met with them at the last meeting. A second. All in favor? It is. She worked on it too.
Does somebody want to
Kathleen,
witness?
can I have you be a witness to this? And Mauro. Hi.
I'll wait till,
Okay,
the substitute. But it has to do with nine.
oh, it has to, not.
Oh, I'm just waiting for me down.
Yeah, I guess it's wait for it. Just so you can see that we really did.
Oh, what you were
Sign. You can sign Kathy's and mine now, so you've seen us sign it.
You was close to me. This time I get more. Oh.
That come on a little bit. Oh, you did a good job on it. I love that stuff. Should have got there. Thanks for coming, Doreen. Thank you, Doreen. Thank you, Doreen.
Know what you need. You know,
So we move on.
how long will people watch minutes? She can't find soap, no lights on.
Moral, it's your turn. Would you
Yeah.
like to
I-
comment on the Nye property? Kathleen? No, just a second. We're just gonna, Moral has a comment on the Nye property.
I have a quick question about, Ken Nye's property, okay? Not what you just did, but, how do we get the assessors to correct the map? Because it's not in the correct place.
You call them?
Who called? Is it select board, town clerk,
Anybody?
myself?
You can,
Huh?
you can.
I can? Okay, then I'll do that, because it's been, just like my property was not correctly delineated, neither was Mr. Nye. Okay.
Kathleen, did you want to witness on some change? Thank you. That's such a neat camera.
Oh, it's.
Okay. There we go.
Sorry. Didn't mean to embarrass you, Ms. Quigley.
Okay, administrative ordinance part 2 amendments.
So I heard from the lawyer today. Oh. No, that one.
And you heard from the lawyer.
His message is right
Oh.
there on the front.
Basically, it says we have to make a decision.
What is being a voting member? Oh, I don't know. Suppose somebody doesn't have a vote, doesn't have a voice.
Very unlikely they're gonna come to meetings if they can't on a regular basis.
Well, I don't know, it's true that we have people who are alternate members who never show up at the meeting. And how an alternate know what's going on and have that. Without attending meetings, it's hard. I don't think they should.
So we asked for the attorney's advice.
Conflict of interest.
We asked for the attorney's.
Advice is usually confidential, but it's up to you.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, so,
we have some administrative changes that we already had asked about, including the LD 2033, 32,
2003.
2003, thank you.
It's not an LD anymore, but
And
the law.
and then a part of that was one of our planning board members that attended a training and MMA, Maine Municipal Association, had said that it could be concerning to have employees serve on committees. So we just have the feedback from the attorney here. Being from a small town, there's pros and cons because we need committee members.
sure enough, and one of the real issues we have is that, not all of our committees are full. We have committees where we've gone without members, even though the issues are important. Solid waste committee is a great example, because clearly it's important. And yet, we don't have a committee member for committee.
Right.
He's volunteering.
Leanne,
Do the committees make decisions?
No.
the committees make
No.
recommendations.
Recommendations, the committees, all
But
serve
without-
in an advisory capacity.
Right.
Good point.
Right.
Going back, you know.
Hence the very first sentence,
It's up to the town.
up to the town.
Right.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
Can you answer this question?
I'm not sure.
This is a public forum, it's not executive session. You're talking about the ordinance that pertains to employee being on a committee. Is that correct?
We asked for the lawyer's opinion on that, correct?
And can you tell us the opinion of the lawyer?
That's up to you.
That is totally up to us. Many times they don't share that. I'm happy to share that. If the committee select board agrees, I'm happy to share that.
I think, you know, sitting here not knowing
Okay.
what's going on.
All right, so this is what the attorney said, and there's a lot more in this administrative changes regarding LD 2003, right? Or is it
That's-
just the employees?
That's,
And it's in a different
we added the
ordinance.
rec committee. We reviewed the whole
Right.
ordinance with the changes that you decided on.
Yes,
Correct.
the two
Right.
changes in here is to add the rec committee. And the other change is to catch us up with the law that was passed by the Supreme Court of the United States a year or so ago, saying that if the town should sell a property, we have to return whatever surplus after all of our expenses, we have to return that to the previous owner.
Correct.
Those are the two major changes.
And isn't LD 2003?
No, that's the building
It's a
permit.
entire
Okay,
ordinance.
yes.
I asked the lawyer today because they are working to change that law from the Supreme Court decision, if we should wait on this, but he said, no, it's
It's the law of the land at this time.
at this time.
And if it changes, then that's why ordinances can be amended, right?
So I'm happy to read what the attorney said, which is, they have reviewed the proposed changes to administrative ordinance part 2, and the revisions look good as drafted. In regard to the question of a town employees serving on town committees, this is a policy decision for the town. Certainly, there is a potential for conflict of interest to arise when municipal employees serve on committees, which is the reason that many towns have rules against town employees serving on committees, unless there is a non-voting ex officio capacity. Following is language that could be inserted into an administrative ordinance, part 2 as section 2, to provide for that limiting of an employee. Please let me know if you have any questions. So that's basically, he's put it back on how the town feels.
And that is how the select board feels.
Right, yeah.
I just don't wanna see another Sumner incident, what went on over there, you know, when you have puts people in positions like that, you just never know. I wouldn't wanna be responsible if it was.
Did they have a town employee on the committee?
Oh, well, no, but the selectman was on the junior firefighter thing, wasn't she? And that's where the kind of the money that.
And married to another town employee. I gotcha.
You know, it's like. Well, I wouldn't wanna be put, if I was an employee, there's no way I'd wanna be put and be responsible. If there were any money ever missing anywhere, I would not even wanna be anywhere near it.
Yeah.
The committees do not handle the money.
No.
They recommend ideas to the board of selectmen. That's it.
What access did they have? I mean.
None whatsoever. None whatsoever. No, the committees are serving an advisory capacity, which is to say that we have hopefully at least 5 people, but not always, people who get together and think well about the problems that the town wrestles with, so that they can give advice. Which is as to what would be a good idea.
Well, the only thing about an employee being on the committee, they can always influence other people to vote or to do things to help with what they're doing for this.
Here, I
You know what I mean?
absolutely understand your concern.
The
On the other
influence
hand,
is,
I'd like to hope that whoever sits on the select board has got better sense than to get that kind of rule pulled over their eyes. Because ultimately, they're just giving us some suggestions, and it's up to the select board to take it of the town's business. So I'm less concerned about it, I think.
I just think there's a lot of people that know each other too well sometimes in the positions that they're in that can cause a little bit of a.
Conflict of interest.
Yeah,
Exactly.
favoritism, conflict of interest, tapping each other's pockets, and that
Wax.
kind of stuff. I don't
Excuse me?
agree with that.
I won't even sell at Mexico school, the kids up there wax for beeswax, because I don't want my name on any paperwork, because I work with the kids. I don't want them saying that Al Borzoni's doing it for his own benefit. I've done that many times. I do not do that. I will not sell stuff to people that it can come back to bite me in the butt.
Okay.
And it will, eventually it will, I guarantee you. Eventually somebody's gonna find out something that they like with the book. People get complacent.
Exactly, I think it's getting, people in the town are a little too close to some of the positions and. I know, here, let me give you a raise. You help me, I'll help you. It's actually, you know. I'm too much of a rule follower myself, that's just my problem. I'm just too by the book. Black and white.
We don't have enough on these committees, period.
Well, I certainly wouldn't want a committee full of employees, but I certainly do know that it's really hard to find people to sit on these committees.
One of the things I remember hearing in another one of these many trainings or workshops was that, while, you know, it is suggested that it could be a problem that in small towns, there's a lot of times that, there's not so many options. Because in that, we do have a committee member problem. I mean, any one of you would be welcome to sit on a committee. I think we get some ideas now, and I look forward to when we get to that part of the meeting.
Cemetery committee has no problem. Cemetery committees working with the dead people, we're all set.
We don't have any people in the plot that.
And we all show up and it's fun and we have a good time, but, you know, when I was on that committee and, you know, we didn't need a quorum, not cemetery committee, but that's a waste of the morning to show up for a meeting, and we don't need a quorum.
I know, it's frustrating.
Can't do that.
Plan the whole
I'm
evening.
sorry, my time is valuable to me.
So, select women. Where are we going with this?
I make a motion that we stay where we are.
And I would like to.
Wait,
was there
a second?
No, hold on.
No, you have a motion in a second, then we discuss. That's Robert Jules.
Okay. I suggest that we only have one employee, the most would be one employee on the committee. I wouldn't want to see a loaded committee like ordinance or.
Well, then you're showing favoritism who's gonna be on the committee. Which employee you pick at.
I understand that. I just think that if we had a bunch of employees on, not that we have a ton of employees, but I just have concerns with multiple employees on one committee.
I see that we had asked. Maybe you'd like to. Okay.
You three appoint every committee member,
That's right.
so it's up to you.
That's right. So I don't see that as, yeah, I understand your concern, but I think that's something that our responsible select board would keep in mind.
Great.
In making appointments.
Maybe it would depend if what the position the employee is doing and be on a committee that has no effect on their position and what their job does.
Yeah.
That would be.
Which would be what we'd be talking
That
about.
would make sense, but to put. You know,
Okay.
somebody on
It would be just like the Board of Selectmen, if they're going to vote on a topic that benefits them, they would abstain from voting.
I know, I've certainly, I can certainly remember one famous time when I had to recuse myself from the vote.
But then do you have a quorum, you know, which is.
Yes, if there are three select board members and one person says, I'm not participating in this, then the other two can vote.
No, I mean, in say like a committee, the committee, if they won't make a quorum, if they can't vote, it's really
Or
not.
if they're still attending a meeting. They're just gonna abstain from that vote. Okay, any other discussion on that? Do I need to? Okay, look.
So what do you do?
We have a motion and a second on the floor. don't we?
Did your motion mean you're accepting this as written?
As written, but she moved not to include the part B here.
You said keep it the way it is.
Yes,
But
yes, accept it as amended. Yes,
Which is what?
to include a recreation committee. And to include a recreation committee and to include the Supreme Court decision around illegal takings and or returning people's any surplus if the town sells the property for surplus, to return to that
The funds. to
previous
the-
owner, whatever they earned. I mean, it's actually a much longer law than that, because it also includes that the person gets to choose whether or not they want to have the town go put it auction by sealed bid, or whether they want it to go through the real estate market. So there's that too. So it's actually kind of longish, and you are more than welcome to read a copy of this if you have.
But what about the employee thing? What was the?
That was a small part of it, and it says it's up to the town, and we're saying that we're not gonna add that in at this point. We're gonna continue the way we are with, if the town's
So
employee
how many-
wants to serve on a committee, we're gonna let them continue to do that.
So how many employees do we have on committees?
Just one right now. Right?
Cause then you got the woman that were doing the summer beach thing that mentioned that, you know, she'd like to join a committee, and then it's like, so. How many are you gonna do that for, you know?
You appoint one.
Remember,
Right,
she
we're
mentioned
gonna-
that.
we're gonna be appointing
And as long as the select board doesn't want to have more than one employee on any given committee, then that seems to me like a pretty sensible, sensible plan.
Do you have the right, I know she made the motion. Do you need any more? Or come on, we ready to vote?
I think it.
Pete seconds it. Yeah, I just want to see, make sure.
We have a
it's all
motion
set.
in a second, we
Yeah.
had discussion.
I wanted Leanne to give me the head nod, she's got the motion. You had the motion, great. All in favor? All opposed?
Okay, so this will appear
So.
on the
what
town
committee is
meeting
that
warrant.
employee on?
Ordinance. And we have another person, as you mentioned, that would like to serve on rec.
We will have the building law ordinance for the next meeting. I'm not sure how to go about that because the hearing is before the next meeting. Do I advertise whatever the lawyer says tomorrow for the building permit ordinance? Is that what I put out there for everyone? Because you're not meeting again until after the hearing.
Unless we have to. I mean,
And then,
hearings on the 18th,
18th. The lawyer is supposed to get back to me tomorrow
we meet again on.
on the 18th,
we meet
after the
again-
hearing.
after the hearing, right?
So do I present to everyone whatever the lawyer recommends?
What's the question? I guess I want to see when past, our planning board chair who's put so much work into it as well. But it is up to the select board, so, would you like to, do you want to call a meeting ahead of that
Good.
hearing?
Well,
And take a look at it?
if we have a hearing on the 18th, I need to get this ordinance out to people.
That's right, so that's why I'm saying, our next meeting is on the 18th, I guess I'm wondering if perhaps the select board should have a meeting that is specific to that ordinance in order to review it and include it, so that you can do that. I don't want more meetings any more than anybody else does, but, that might be the best way to go about it.
How soon will we have the stuff the attorney's gonna present?
He's calling me tomorrow with some questions, so I'm bringing a copy of it home with me. He has my cell number.
Okay. And we have a budget committee on Wednesday already at 6 o'clock.
Oh, yeah, right, too, how did I forget that?
So could the select board meet after the budget committee?
There's
On
not
that
enough
one little
time for
topic?
notice. But it's up to you,
Not unless we call it, an emergency meeting.
unless you recess this meeting until Wednesday night.
I guess we could do that after. That's
So we're
not-
pausing this meeting and redoing.
That's
it
not
on
a bad thought.
Just for that
How-
one
how
topic.
Just for
far
one
are
topic.
we here? We still got, we haven't even got as far as the generator and, we've got quite a ways to go yet.
That we do.
I don't recess right now.
No, I was going to say. But I can go now.
We can have another meeting.
So after the budget meeting, So 7:30 Wednesday
That's
night.
all right. Instead of adjourning the meeting, we can,
Yep.
We can recess the meeting and regather on Wednesday at 7:30.
that's not a bad thought.
Hopefully he'll be doing.
But we are gonna continue on this current agenda. Right.
Yeah, darn too.
Excellent. Okay, next, order to alter the winter maintenance of Darrington Road. We've gotten lots of community feedback and, so does anyone want to make a motion?
I move that we place this on the ballot. As written,
Did you say on the warrant?
on the warrant, yeah, on the warrant. for the
It's
ballot.
not a ballot.
I didn't think I said ballot, but I meant warrant for town meeting.
I seconded it. Okay, all in favor?
Move it along.
There you go.
You just abstaining?
I'm abstaining, yes.
I'm seeing none.
Yes, Maura?
I'm sorry, I didn't see 3 hands go up. Were all 3?
No, I abstained. All right, next on the agenda is the generator. And, generator is broken. We've had 2 companies come and look at it. Fields and. Fields Electric.
That's that decision.
And who?
Field Electric.
Did we have 2 people?
Flanders
Flanders.
and Fields.
And so, they both basically said that, we could put in a new engine and switch for a whole lot less than buying a brand new generator. But
That didn't make it.
There's always a but.
I was talking with, I've been meeting with both of them. And I met with Field Electric this morning. And he said, I asked him if we put a new motor in, if the tail end of it could go to pot.
Are you talking about the generator side?
Yes, so. And he said that as old as it is, that anything else could go, like, the switches, the electrical end of it. He said there's a number of things that could go wrong at the age of the generator itself.
And how old is the generator?
2010, 2011.
11.
What's the other one's older than that?
But he said that's a good,
So 13.
we've got a lot of good years out of it. So he was just, making a point that something else could go if we,
It's
Decided
like
to
like
hold up.
putting a new engine in your car.
Right.
You might find out you need a job.
that's right.
What's the difference in the price between doing the motor and then going new?
$1,834.
Are you putting this out to bid? Are you putting this out to bid?
For a new motor?
For it. Well,
I should say.
She's reading off all the prices.
Oh,
Oh.
could we give some ballparks here? Put in a new motor, it would cost this ballpark. And to buy a new generator, it would cost this ballpark.
$2,000 around about.
Is that something that's?
Say 15,
budget?
2,500.
Right, what about a new generator?
We got to.
Do we have figures for that?
1.
Oh, is that figured for a new one or for?
No,
That's to put an engine.
That was
Just
just
a
an
motor.
engine?
We have a big generator over there. Okay, and to get a new generator, it could cost somewhere between $5,000 and $9,000.
Well, the thing is you're already putting what, close to maybe 2,500 and it's like.
Plus, we're going to apply for a grant.
Right,
You wanna spend all this money. on
we would try to
somebody
get
or-
grant, get
Gotta do it on
paid for
track.
by a grant, which is still several months out before you apply and comes through.
If you have a backup plan in case there's a generator needs to be used and.
I'm sorry, Alan, I didn't process what you
Well,
said.
if you lose power for any length of time, you really don't have a generator to run.
Correct. That would be correct. We have nothing right now.
Oh, let's hope that the losing power season is pretty well bad.
Unless you live on the pond, right? Because then we lose it every weekend, don't we?
Did Tom ever have,
The last 3 weekends, we lost it for hours or days.
did you ever have a portable generator here? Did you ever, never had a portable generator?
What does the generator run?
Propane.
Or both buildings?
Both
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I wasn't sure what you meant with what is it gonna for fuel or what is it gonna?
No, I don't like, yeah, I didn't want to be.
Price.
Also, rent this building here.
Water, and so neither building has water with a pump and, you know.
Listen,
And you have to check with AvCog because at our most recent meetings, and I haven't paid a lot of attention to exactly what the specifics were, but I know that there's just been, a fair amount of money that just come in that's available for grants and other things that's like ready to be written right now. Given the fact that I'm assuming the generator died because of overlook during COVID, is that the
Yeah.
issue or what?
Yeah.
What?
It's
what took down the generator?
old age and, we did have a 6-day power outage or 5 days at least, power outage in
Recently.
December. That was probably hard on them.
I was going to say, it might be worth checking with your AvCog people to see if there might be funds, because there's some state funding that has just rolled in and came with some federal funding. I don't know what the specifics as to exactly what it applies to or doesn't, but there may be
you are
good
correct.
money available
Yeah.
right now.
We actually have a grant that's due
ready.
next week if we chose to get everything together to
Just
try to
the,
do it.
just the letter of,
Intent.
yeah, that's it. Is due next week.
Yeah. And I
So
think
is was that AvCog or was that,
No.
CBE?
Homeland.
Oh,
Homeland Security.
Homeland Security, I'm sorry.
And
All
that's-
the grant
that's
monies are
exactly
all
where
rolling
our
together.
company came from.
they got it, but they're looking.
Homeland, it was a Homeland Security grant that got us the generator in the first place.
Is Dan working on that now? Did he put everything together?
He's working on it, yeah.
Okay. So what do you need from us? Right now?
That's up to you. I mean, you're the ones getting,
My concern is we don't have a generator right now at all.
the pipes aren't gonna freeze.
Yeah, the pipeline.
Yeah. No, I was
The
just more
worst thing
concerned
the worst thing that could happen is we could have a lost day work. If we lose power, you know, I mean, we could still have another snowstorm, but how about if we just didn't? You know?
No. But if we were to lose power, she can't open that office,
That's true.
right?
I'll be there.
Oh, I know you'll be there. We did a little abacus going. Or your battery operated one.
And I know power outages are a bit of a crapshoot. It's too bad that our solar-
I was there for part of Kathy's talk with Fields, and he felt like it was worth to put money into that generator. And if we were to do that just for the short term, till we got grant funding, could we not sell the generator? No? Moral.
I promise there won't be power outage for 24 hours.
That would be really nice. I'm tired of setting my clocks and turning on my pellet stove when I get home. and-
Think the stopwatch.
So,
You have power outages now, you won't be down that long.
If you live on Bear Pond, you're gonna be out. We're not a priority.
Yeah, but we are not, we're talking.
Luckily, the town is not on Bear
We're
Pond,
talking
so-
about the town hall and town office,
Right.
which is not on Bear Pond, last I checked. So. Well, you know. I've always enjoyed putting the mower myself.
Steve, no matter which way we go with this, that back wall has to come out.
Right.
Cause it's less than 3 feet from the generator itself. So.
But.
And that's the front court we're supposed to.
How far is it right now?
You can just go squeeze in there from the
It
back
only needs to
wall.
be 18 inches.
It's 18 inches.
Oh, must be at least that.
It is.
So 18 inches.
Well, they're talking 3 feet.
Talk is cheap though, right? I know.
Just had one installed at a new house that I built, 18 inches.
18 inches from,
18 inches from the structure.
The generator has to be 18 inches from whatever shed he's getting.
Would that be different for
I don't know.
residential versus commercial?
Something to look into.
My concern is, and I would really like to get a new one and get a grant to pay for it. My concern is it could be a year out. I hate the thought of the town office being without any backup.
Very long time.
But Leanne will still be there.
But
'cause
either
she
way we're
goes
going, they
right in
still
the
gotta,
post office.
they still gotta find a motor. It's not sitting on their shelf.
Yeah,
And you have to decide how you're gonna pay for this. It's not in the budget.
correct.
That could be considered capital.
I was just about to say, you took the words right out of my, that seemed to me that I can come out of capital.
What do we have left in that?
9,000.
Oh, it could come out of that.
My whole generator. Yeah, it could come out of it. I think that, I mean, I think it is. I don't think there's any question.
5 years.
And, you know.
Can't get back to you today? He said he,
You know, and while it's true that the motor needs help, it's basically just the oil pump. And of course, that means change the motor, because if they don't have oil pumps, what is anything? What?
Remember what died a couple weeks
It's
ago?
been a month yet? I don't know. Couple of weeks.
Sounds
probably
about
fast,
right.
right?
A month, yeah.
month maybe.
Payment?
I don't know, you know, could it come from, a grant come from FEMA, since it died after our, you know,
No, the deadline was April 1st.
what? Doesn't April first, okay, well,
To
When?
apply, like, yeah.
you know, not much more than a week out, but there you
I don't think it
go.
was caused by the storm.
Pardon?
I don't think it was caused by the rainstorm.
Well, might have been, you know, it might have been, it would have been all the kind.
It
of
was
cause-
intimidated by that rain
that
and
caused-
just stopped.
Yeah, there was an intimidating, power range. Anyway, so.
I think we should replace that engine, which could be a 2-3 weeks before they can find an engine for it or order one.
Well, so, and
And
that
have-
said,
have
do we
what's
want
left.
to make a choice between these two, or do we want to put it out to bid? That's gonna, of course.
Yeah, we got two right here.
Make our lead time, it would take a lot more time out of the equation.
Well, in my mind, when we're doing a repair, I wouldn't say we needed to put it out to bid, but if we're gonna buy a new generator, we definitely need to put it out to bid.
So. You get a question up there. Another wise ass.
Oh, hey, Laurel, so sorry.
If the town paid for a new generator, okay, And they were also applying for a grant, if even if the town paid for it, would they still get the grant?
Down the road?
We get reimbursed.
Oh,
We
because if
can-
you've already,
I know we can get reimbursed when the roads are damaged, because we
Uh-huh.
have to fix the roads right away so people can, you know, get in and out. But, and we get reimbursed for those. On the other hand, I remember when we had just bought the snow blower, and it turned out there was a grant available, and he said, oh, you could have applied for a grant, but we already owned it, and it was tough to do. So I think you can go either way, depending on the grant. Or maybe depending on the type of expenditure.
And if we have to submit receipts, that those dates for the receipts have to be after the grant was funded, at least in any grants I've worked with. I don't know about this one. Dan La Rochelle's working on that. Yeah. Our emergency management person is working on a grant right now.
sorry, what?
The emergency management director for the town is working on a grant for this right now.
I know. It's hard to,
Well, that's,
Not-
that's who got us the generator, not the same guy, but the same position. So,
and we have 2 bids to get it fixed. That's a pretty easy answer right there. I'd like to propose that we have the generator repaired for the time being, so we have a power source.
Maybe down the road, check out for year or so down the road, check out for a new one.
Yep.
What would you apply for the grant now and?
Yeah. Moral,
Is there anything in the town budget for replacement of a generator?
not specifically,
Not-
but we have an equipment reserve account. And this would, or capital reserve, this would count as capital, so to speak, you know, a capital expenditure.
Stephen,
Both Kohler and Generac will give you a trade-in value for your generator, it's fine. So say you fixed it and then you want to do one 6 months down the road, Kohler and Generac both will give you a trade-in amount.
Right.
For your-
Possibly even enough to pay for the motor.
thank you. Excellent information. I make a motion, we put a new engine into the current generator, which will give us a quicker turnaround with power, which is benefits our community, because we need that computer to register vehicles and they do.
Is this your motion?
Sorry, so I make a motion that we repair the generator with Fields Electric at a cost of $1,834.95.
And 95 cents.
Second it.
All in favor? All. Okay. All right, dedication of town report,
Did you mention the capital?
and it would come from capital expense
Capital reserve.
yeah. Okay, dedication of town report. We didn't make that decision last month.
Yes, but how do you want it to look?
Oh, I have some comments about this. Wouldn't you know? First of all, and I did make some
Notes.
So I highlighted, first of all, Chris Flag is a cemetery sexton. Shouldn't that go under the cemetery committee, and it should say David Brand, sexton?
David?
I mean, excuse me, it's Chris Brand, sexton. That's what I'm thinking. Rather than have this fellow as the very top. other thing is, I didn't necessarily have the list, I mean, I looked on my phone, I could maybe find it, but, the list of the Hartford Food Bank is not accurate. I'd like to suggest that even though Hartford and Sumner are sharing food bank, space, that we list Hartford Food Bank and list Hartford residents rather than all of the Sumner residents that are in here. And also, I have not volunteered this past year, even though my name is on that list.
This was the list provided by Polly Chase.
Well, nonetheless, I don't know when it was provided because she's the person I asked about it. And, my suggestion is that we don't include people who are not
Currently.
well, not currently, the people who are not current, and also, you know, the Sumner Food Bank can thank their food bank residents, or volunteers in their report, because that would be the Sumner Food Bank. The Hartford Food Bank and the Sumner Food Bank, contrary to popular belief, are in fact separate. They have separate accounts. I mean, yes, they work out of the same outfit, and a lot of the same food gets distributed, but they're still, you know, they're still separate in terms of, as you well know, from the financial paperwork they turned in, that they are separate from the Summer Food Bank. And so I guess I'd like to see the Hartford Food Bank listed in our dedication rather than the Summer Food Bank list. I do recognize that there are people who are not residents of the town on the cemetery committee. That's the fact of the people. I don't know who they are. But the cemetery committee is listed as in at least you know, people are allowed to be from other towns if they have relatives buried in town. Right, exactly.
Right.
So they're actually.
So why don't we
members
just change
of
it
the
to
town.
Hartford Food Bank and list the Hartford volunteers?
I think that's accurate.
Okay,
That would be right.
can someone get Leanne the correct volunteers?
I could,
Great.
I feel certain. The other thing is solid waste committee. I know Tamara McNeil is listed there, and I know she was appointed, but she is, as far as I know, yet to even get sworn in as a committee member.
Right, but she's still part of the committee. She's,
Okay.
you haven't accepted a
off.
resignation.
And you don't get a resignation from her, but in any case, okay, fine. And if we were to appoint some members to the solid waste committee this evening, would we include those people as well? This is only for the previous year, but aren't we still in that previous year?
Yeah.
That was a quick one.
Okay. Question?
No, I asked the question.
Oh, I thought you just said you had
Should
a
we
question.
include people that, should we appoint some people tonight to the solid waste committee, which I have every intention of doing when we get down to that part of our meeting? Should we do that? Shall we,
Can we jump ahead and do that now so we can add them to this list?
I can add them tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or she can add it tomorrow.
Yeah,
Great.
you know, I don't think we have to
Excellent.
jump
Okay.
right in and do that. We can just determine that
There'll probably be
with
additional.
those changes, that this would be acceptable and that we would add any potential new solid waste committee members.
Yep.
Okay, great.
All right. Moving on, open session. Anyone have anything they'd like to have us cover for open session? Maureen Nason and then Leanne.
I have a question. What would be the ruling if somebody wanted to put a Van Mountain Trail sign on a, town stop sign post? Or would they better, well, no matter what they do, it's probably gonna be on town property or the right of way. But is there any objection to doing that?
Putting a sign.
I believe that the ATV, that across the state, they're not allowed to use current sign poles or telephone poles to put signage on.
I
They
know,
would have to use their own.
But I don't know that he's talking about an ATV club sign.
no, I'm not
A
talking
trail
about EV, I'm talking about pedestrian use for trails.
Oh, you mean like
Trailheads.
the Bear Mountain Trail?
Yeah,
The current one.
that's what I believe I said,
Right, so.
That is what he said.
which is the.
And that's what I
Fair Mountain
understood.
Road.
And
Essentially,
and I think
most-
you were jumping right to an ATV club
Cause
thing.
it's called Bear Mountain, right?
Those Fairmont lines. yeah.
Right, but he's talking about the trail itself, which is a wonderful walking trail.
Sure it is.
Because, and the reason I bring this up is because I had a niece that parked in the log landing, which Norma House recommends, but they got on skidder trails and they never got to the top. And she comes down to me and tells me, and I said, well, you park right across the cemetery.
If you leave from that yard that's parking now, it is confusing.
What?
It is
Yes, it is.
confusing.
It's
It's
confusing.
confusing. If you park where people are required to park now, because Norma doesn't want to see cars parked near the place,
Okay,
then it is confusing. If you leave from that, there to find the trailhead, if you're not careful, you're not gonna find where you're going.
Right.
are you saying that you can't park along the right of way, Bear Mountain, the
No.
town right of way? Huh? Is that what you're saying?
Of course
Am I
you
saying,
can.
I'm saying that it has been discouraged.
It's what?
It has been discouraged.
The town owns from the middle of that road out so many feet, and that's still the
Yeah,
town right away. Even though Norma doesn't want people to park there,
Well, Norma
it
House-
still can park there,
Norma House is just a plain resident of the town.
correct?
If I want somebody, if somebody wanted to park along the right of way on Bear Mountain, on Berry Road, I can't stop them.
This is true.
Okay, so why, just because, are you saying that Norma House doesn't want anybody parking there? Because it's a town right away, and it's a 50-foot right away, and they have certainly enough, they can park on a town right away, as long as they're not blocking the road. Am I right or wrong?
That is correct.
Okay, so just because Norma House doesn't want somebody parking there, doesn't make it legal. Am I correct?
Correct.
Sounds like a
Okay, so
civil issue.
if somebody wants to park on it, I told my niece, I said, hey, walk to the, anywhere along that road up to the end of the cemetery and park. Because it's all town road. So I know, I had a conversation with Norma one time that she said, oh, people had walking by with dogs and there was a dog at her bed and breakfast or whatever, it was bothering the dog. So what? They're walking by and they're gonna be gone in a minute. And if the dog barks, so what? Okay, so I'm not sure how much influence Norma House has on controlling who can park on Bear Mountain Road.
It's still a town-owned road, and you are correct, it was a right of way, and it.
At least up to the, at least
Up to
the
the,
corner of the cemetery.
up to the cemetery, yeah, it's a town
That's right.
road.
And then if she can't do that, I'll tell her to go to my lot. Park there. But I think Norma House, when, if she protests, and hey, protest all you want, but it's a town road. And I'm just asking because, people used to park there with the previous owner, Gordon, I think her name was. And she had a place out there in the field to delineated by some granite slab to, for the town, for parking for people who wanted to use it. Nobody complained then. I mean, she was being generous, I understand that.
Yeah.
Okay, but for Norma to say, no, she doesn't want any parking there, I think that's, somebody ought to be straightening her out. And I would just like to have, to reiterate that people park along there, they can just walk up the road, just like any person can. Public road.
Thank you.
Walking. Would that be something the code enforcement officer could go talk to this lady?
What's that?
Road commissioner control the road.
Yep, road commissioner can say something.
Um,
I know
No,
there's a sign out there at the end of the road that says trail parking and leading people, it's a private sign, leading people to the new parking lot that she created because she doesn't want people to park there.
Yeah,
But it's still a
that's
town
your
right of way. You are absolutely correct.
and she had a problem with people, she thought when they had a dumpster down there in the corner, by the way, she thought that it might have been over her property, on her property line, I went down there and measured it. And it was just inside the 25 foot from the center of the road to the end of the dumpster. Okay, so.
Thank
She- I
God, thank God, we managed to figure out the dumpster problem in that neighborhood. I'm really glad of that. Leah, you had something to say.
We need one of you to write a selectmen's report for the town report, and it has to be approved by the latest, the first meeting in May. I think it's the second. I think it's Kathy's.
Yeah,
I'll have it.
I think it is.
I'll have it.
Okay.
It was one of the things we did, me and my talked about
Oh, yeah.
Thursday. Well, I looked at the last 2 years of town report.
No, I know,
and one of them was clearly me and one of them was.
Yeah,
clearly
I saw.
Susan, so
My
I
turn.
think we're stuck with it.
It's gonna be so fun, Kathy. I'm just kidding you.
One more thing, I've already posted about these two hearings, but I kind of forgot about the return of notice, if you could just sign them, if you don't mind. The building permit ordinance hearing on the 18th, and then the May 30th hearing.
Okay, is there anything else for open session? So if not, I'd like to move on to new business. Great. New business, one, ATV kiosk request.
Yeah, the ATV club was just wondering if we could put a kiosk over here to put like our trails on it, we could put like the town office hours on it, it would be a lock thing. You know, it'd
Yeah,
have-
with
have
plexiglass.
Plexiglass. with
Here's the
lock,
trail
and then
where
we
it
could put,
goes.
like, the town office hours, you could put, you know, so if somebody shows up on a
Safety
weekend,
stuff,
it's like, when's the office open anyway? They can get that and just have it.
And does the ATV club,
We used to have a kiosk plan here, it was quite nice.
did the ATV club plan on paying for that themselves?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, yeah, we'll take care of that. Just wondering if there's a way to put that over there, I don't know. You know, it's all new to us too, what's gonna happen and how much, you know, usage that will be over there. but-
Right, but you know, well, it will be set in such a place, it would be permanently out of the way,
Right, right.
but also noticeable.
I mean, is that tractor trailer thing always gonna be there? Does that mean it's got like a pallet hanging on the side of it? It's got tile, it's kind of messy over there. Is that some way that can be squared up a little bit? I mean,
That's been there,
well,
because
there's a tractor.
yeah, the road commissioner has kept hay in that, which then helps prepare roads or bankings when.
How
he has
often
to
does
be
that
built.
get used? Once a year?
I do not know.
I mean.
It's been there.
All summer, every year.
Summer.
Could that be moved up on a salt shed?
Yeah.
It's conceivable,
Probably could. There's room up there.
we'll talk a little about it.
It just looks messy over there. I don't know, I'm trying to just pound. I mean, it's got that one up the corner of Stetson Road that's just been sitting there for almost a year now. that
Precious
thing-
grader.
Yeah, that thing, it's like, why does that equipment have to be everywhere? Can't you just keep it in one spot and not mess up the whole town? I don't know.
I have a question on the kiosk.
Yeah, so let's get back to the kiosk.
Yes.
Is there a way that the ATV club, even though they're the ones paying for it, would be willing to put in there that this is a multi-purpose trail and
Oh, yeah, we wanna put something about the, you know, the donation or whatever, the trail and
Yeah,
would put something in there too about all that.
so that walkers feel welcome and.
Oh, yes,
and
definitely.
That it's used by snowmobiles,
Rules, you
whatever. it's-
know,
Yeah,
You bring it in, you take it out, you know, just
Excellent.
about respecting people's property, you know, hopefully. You can't keep everyone in line, but we'll try to do.
yes, we can.
Well, you can remind them.
Yes, I did see an ATV on my road today, and it's like, who the heck is that?
Speeding or slow?
They weren't going too bad, but it was like, what the heck? The roads aren't open for you to go on the roads, and in fact, the ATV club actually put a post
Yes, they
about
did.
that
I
today.
saw that.
But he didn't know that I'd already seen somebody go by my house. And hopefully people will stay off the roads until it's time, because it's.
Right.
So, yeah, well, you know, among the things you can put in your kiosk is what the news actually are.
Absolutely,
Another way
that's
to-
part of it, is
yeah.
big enough, you know, the map.
Of course, one thing that you don't see it very often anymore, but I used to ride horses on that fair all the time. I would love it if there was something in there about, if you see somebody on the horse to slow down and pay attention to what the rider is saying, because the rider knows that the horse is freaking out.
Yes, they're actually in Rocks, Andover, excuse me, Andover has a trail up there that has its ATV access, and there are horses on there, and they have signs so that people are aware of
There
that.
you go, because not all horses are cool with it.
Right.
I can remember trail riding, down the trails that are out by the river in Sherman. And, having, it was actually not an ATV, it was a motorcycle, I'm screaming around the corner, and my horse was the only one who kept to it.
And
The rest of them-
Wetlands.
Usually when I see Monica riding on, I stop, let her do her thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, you know, I mean, that's true for any motor vehicles, but I think especially like ATVs can be super scary.
I'd like to make a motion that the ATV club be able to produce a kiosk. We would like to see the final plan
Oh, yeah,
before it's
yeah.
built. But I'd like to make a proposal
But
that,
we look forward to seeing the design.
yeah, and
Wait,
then.
was there a second or?
You still,
I'll second it.
Were you done?
Yep,
She was talking.
all in favor? Super. And a reminder from earlier in the meeting, ATV Club's meeting here on the 15th and doing a food drive, so for the food bank, so if anybody wants to drop off stuff or just come and bring food too, I'm sure they'd be happy to have the donation. Okay,
Go, see what we're doing.
yep, all right, on to the next one, broadband grant funds. And, we've been getting feedback from towns members that are frustrated because they do not have broadband.
It's beyond frustrating.
Right, beyond.
But, you know, we more or less stopped pushing to work on broadband grants and stuff like that, because it seemed as though First Light was going to serve the entire town. I know that First Light has not served the entire town, no? And there are people right here on Main Street that don't have service, which just blows me away, because you look at the list, and there's a list in our packet of roads that have been served. I mean, Pine Shores has had broadband since 2019. So has the town office. As far as I'm concerned, there's no excuse why other people who live on Main Street don't have broadband service. I mean, that's just crazy. And of course, you know, one of these complaints is by somebody who lives out on Camp Road, but still no, they've gone up this road and that road and this road and that road. Now I know it's been explained to me that, oh, they've only got so much they can spend in a given year, but oh, for crying out loud, folks.
So there's already a fiber that runs all the way up on 40.
I know.
But they won't hook up residential to it.
It's beyond annoying.
I had to call them. To get hooked up.
Oh, imagine you did. Jeremy, I know that this is one of your hot button issues now, isn't it?
One of my,
Oh, yes,
Jeremy,
Jeremy.
where do you live?
I live right here on Main Street, literally less than 2 miles up the road here.
Okay.
And I have not liked First Light since they took over Oxford Networks.
Honestly.
When Oxford Networks was in, they were planning on filling all of this area with fiber and going broadband, you know. And when First Light bought them out, they canceled all those projects. Right now, we get 10 megabytes per second. That is 15 megabytes per second below what the FCC says is required for minimum high-speed broadband.
I used to get a discount on my phone because I couldn't get good service. I would complain so much.
I call them every other month,
They didn't give me a discount.
and I get nothing.
got
I
this-
get told that we're possibly working on it, we might be getting it done, we might be, we're waiting on grants, we're waiting on this, we're waiting on that.
What's that?
We have $4,000 grant sitting in our book.
It's way beyond annoying, and,
Ken?
there's no comfort in knowing that you're not alone.
I've been calling First Light for 2 years, about every month when I've been trying to get fiber optics.
Well, what I said, I paid for a certain amount of.
We have it right up here to Scott's house, and it stops
Thanks, Dave.
on
Thank you,
140
David.
by
Did you want
That's
to?
Those up Stetson Road, those are all these small roads, but doesn't go down Main Street. So I think it's time that they service Main Street.
No kidding. It just comes to here or to?
It goes to
Mike-
here, Stockville, and stop. And stops at Stetson. Anything in between does not have.
Jeez. Moral.
Scott, what did you say the minimum that, the government wants you to have?
The Federal Communications Coalition, the FCC, says that the minimum high-speed broadband is 25 megabytes per second.
Okay, and you have it?
No, I have 10.
So I have, after we talked to, I counted off it a few years ago, okay? He said, well, I got it. I said, you kidding me? So I went over to my pole. And here, I know fiber goes by because they have a little orange, it's indicated in the orange casing.
Right.
It's there. So I called them up, and it wasn't more than a week later that I had it. So you gotta see, Stetson Road comes out of Canton, okay? And we come out, well, let's see, here 388, we come out of, sure, somewhere. Okay, so, but anyway, if you can see, maybe I'll take a little journey as we walk around, go around town and see where that fiber is, because there could be a loop between Sumner office going up to Canton.
On top of
and
that,
back.
there's an entire list of every
You
address.
got a entire list of where.
Every address that has been given broadband, right here in a list. Anybody in there?
Leanne just mentioned that we have a $4,000 grant.
I'm sorry, what?
But in any case, and we all know this is a problem, and you know something, I think almost all of us have some stories about this, but this agenda item isn't about our stories, it's about a grant. Am I right?
And the letter from Judy, why aren't we doing anything to move ahead on this? We have the money to do something.
Your grant was for $4,000. That won't even go to one pole.
I know, no, it's not for actually installing the service, it's for doing surveys or planning or.
I can tell you that I did reach out to Lisa Kime on this, and she got a hold of the Maine Connectivity Authority through our conversations, and that
Was it helpful?
she said that the Maine Connectivity Authority was putting into having a grant for our road. And that they were supposed to have gotten First Light was supposed to have gotten the grant to put it on here, being forced by the Maine Connectivity Authority to do it.
When was that?
That was when the last grants that came out. But I haven't heard whether they actually got that grant or whether
Last year, this year?
it would have been, I had reached out to her probably in December. It was when they were,
It can be approximate, I'm just
Right.
like wondering.
it's within the last year. And it was with this last round of grants that the Maine Connectivity Authority was putting out, that they were supposed to do, but I do not know whether they did. I've been trying to follow it, but it's their wording and their grant, the way it's done. Now, First Light has said that they have won grants from the Maine Connectivity Authority, but none of them have been going for out yet.
Yeah, none of them help us. Well, what do you say? What should we do?
I mean, we could certainly use the 4,000 to do a survey or pull together a group here. We already know who's got broadband and who doesn't, correct?
Well, when was this list sent? It was a couple of years ago. I know they've put in some since then.
Sure.
Really good, First Light.
Well, that's kind of what I was.
That's what they told me.
Huh?
Everybody call them, call.
That's what I did, I had to call
Every other month I call them. You're on.
Well, maybe they need calls every week or every day. I don't know. It gets tired.
Yeah.
The squeaking.
I just kept telling them that you get half the power, so I don't think I should be paying the full bill. And they give me a discount.
Wow. But the goal is to get the full
I
power.
know, by doing that,
Yeah,
it's, making them go faster, because they want to go.
well, it seems like the people that are affected are the best voices for it. If we could pull together some sort of committee, that even if we could pull it together and then we set up a calling tree so that we're inundating them with calls on a regular basis, so that we're squeaky enough to make a difference with First Light.
The issue is, they're a monopoly in that area, they have no competition.
I think a monopoly in our entire town.
Right, but I can tell you from experience, when over at our church in Buckfield, we switched from First Light to Spectrum because they didn't want to service our building one telephone pole up the road from their connection. As soon as Spectrum put that one telephone pole in and went to our church and the neighbors across the street, they filled the entire road to get the customers to switch to them.
I just bet they did. Well, so I guess what I'm thinking, I mean, you can form a committee if you want, but I guess I'm thinking more in terms of what can we do to put some pressure on? Because I was told a couple of years ago, oh, well, we'll be doing Church Street this year, we'll be doing this street and that street. And, years have passed, I guess I want to see some, I mean, I'm sorry, that is just some kind of BS. People are on Main Street, and can't get
And there's so many people that need to work from home now. I mean,
I'm
how
telling you,
convenient is that?
there's at least one woman I know of who was been, she sent us a letter, she's been renting a place in Livermore so she could go to work.
Yeah.
But she would be working at home if she could get things done.
She retired last week.
Yeah,
Well, there was on the ball when the first two towns was talking about getting other companies to come in.
Oh, yeah, no, I've put hours and hours and hours into this.
so how do we, if you've done that, then how do we move forward? If we've already done that and failed, what's the next steps?
Call and say, hey, look, we're thinking about bringing in another company to finish this job. Yeah. And that would put a
Yeah,
budget.
maybe what we need to call is Spectrum.
That would put a
Of
budget.
course, Spectrum doesn't serve our town,
Right.
so that,
But they stop at Camp Road.
They stop at the camp road?
Spectrum
Spectrum
stops basically just after the camp line.
Really?
and they're coming from.
From
Camp.
Wow.
So maybe we need to
That's
just
a long way to go.
call Spectrum and see what they want to do for us.
Yeah, for me, it's.
You know, or maybe we need to call First Light and
Yeah,
and
that would
tell
put
them that
pressure.
we're fixing to call Spectrum, do if you want to see if you can get in here quicker.
Do we have a contact, like a internal contact that does planning at First Light? Is there a name?
I have no
Versus
idea.
just calling the operator?
Mia Purcell. Looking activity main,
She could probably, she should help me.
it's been handling everything. She's the one that got us the grant and. Telling me about it.
Yep. So, okay,
I got two numbers here. I got Brenda and Brenda Atlee. I don't know if he's, so what the. I don't know else fast. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think the cut this time would be helpful, but, I'd be willing to call Brenda Atlee and rattle his chains.
okay.
Call Mia.
Do you want me to call Mia or?
I can tell him too,
That would be
so
great.
he has a contact, particularly perspective, because I want to tell Brenda Hadley that, you know, that we've just plain had it. And, you know, thanks for,
Nothing.
well, thanks for what we got. There's a lot of people do that, you know, and thanks for that, but, you know, we're getting sick of waiting here.
Okay. That would be great to do that.
You know, I mean, we were all, you know, all in to try and make something happen. And then First Light basically came along with, you know, oh, no, we're gonna be serving the town of Hartford. And they made all kinds of promises and then we're still waiting. That's,
I can get hold of that John too, I know him.
you know, I'll do. You want his number?
So what about the $4,000 that we already have for a grant that came in
I know where
a while
he lives.
ago,
Here's his
quite a
number.
while ago, before I was here?
21, I think.
I know where he lives too.
You can
go over there with
you can
Cousin
take
Penny
your
or
white
what?
truck over there,
Don't be listening to.
and then they'll be on Facebook. There's a woman in that house.
There's a white truck.
There's a white truck that says Godzilla.
Yeah, then I go get in trouble again.
You get in trouble, go down there and call him up.
We'll put one of those big cable rolls in the back of your truck and that'll get them going. Yeah, one of those cable. Do you have internet down on Blueberry? First Light?
Yeah, not
Not,
good.
not speedy though, is it?
Not broad,
My sister lives next door and she has fiber optic.
but you don't.
No, I'm on a waiting list. They said it could be up like 8 months.
Is.
My brother lives right there too and he's on a waiting list.
Across the road though, right?
Yeah.
Across the road, no. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually fast.
Is that what you use, Charlie?
Yeah.
My son had it.
We
too.
finally gave up.
Yeah.
Is that satellite started?
So, yeah.
Yeah, my son,
And it
has-
was
my
really
son
fast.
has that. It
All
was,
right. We're gonna move forward, but we still have to figure out what we're gonna do with that $4,000.
But the setup cost for Starlink is significant.
We still need to figure out what we're gonna do with that $4,000 from 2021.
We'll have to return it if we don't use it. So,
No. Something going on. Oh.
It'll be domestic. Drug bucks.
Thank you.
Well, I don't know. It's a good question.
Hearings, mailings.
2021.
You know what you can do is bring those two companies in here. Call up, say, hey, come to a meeting.
Okay, you don't.
Then let the people meet them up.
So yes, I know which monies you're talking about. And, you know, I'm not sure what we can do, to be honest with you. I mean, you could form a committee, but you have $4,000 is not right. Used up by committee. I'm not sure what kind of.
You did it to CMP, you did it to the DOT, have them come in. Ask them if they can come in and talk to the people in the town of Hartford. And you want
What was it originally supposed to be for?
I think it's for planning.
Broadband, it was a broadband planning grant. I'm pretty sure. Broadband planning grant. I don't know, I don't know, you know, it might seem like a dreadful thing, if there's money and we didn't get to keep it, but on the other hand, I mean, we're not doing any kind of major planning, we shouldn't. You know, I mean, there's not really money on the table if there's not something specific that we're going to spend it on around broadband plan, or what are you gonna? You can spend $4,000 on broadband plan.
I don't know, not much.
I'm afraid, I don't know how we could do that. But I mean, I'm not just not sure where we would go with that.
Think about it and do it at the next meeting.
What's the deadline for spending?
I have no idea. I didn't apply for it. Came in right after I got here.
Okay, I said I would call, Brett Hadley from the first place, I said I would call him, yeah. I will ask
Thank you,
Mia.
Ken.
I will ask Mia what she thinks we should do with it.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah. Those things I will do. Okay, so there you go, then we can move on.
Okay. All right, we're gonna move on to the personnel policy vacation time. That has to do with, Leanne's now been here 3 years and we have a policy that says she can only have 105 hours accumulated. The problem is that she had no back other people in the vacation, which is, one of the reasons why we hired Jalen. When I talked to MMA, they said it was up to us and we could either delay her vacation, give her more time to use some. We can pay part of it or all of it out if we chose to, if we have a budgetary way to pay for that. They made suggestions that we pay for part of it and extend enough time now that she's hired someone so that she could be given another 3 months to use a week of it or whatever. Lots of options. It all rode on us though.
Well. Does her employment year end in March, the month that she was hired, or does the employment year end at the end of this year?
When were you hired, Leanne?
March 7th, 2021.
Mine is based on my employment date. I don't know if you guys change it annually or whether it's.
Ours is employee date too.
Yeah, so that makes sense.
So in March, you're gonna have 105 hours then when, on your 3-year
I'm in
anniversary.
my 4th year.
And your
I
fourth.
just started this thing. And are you asking that you be paid the equivalent of these 105 hours?
Am I? No, I just don't wanna lose it. It caps at 105, I'm over that. I can't leave for a week.
Yeah, I did that too. Not yet.
What if we were to pay her for a week's vacation, which would bring her bank down? A one time, but then we're gonna need her to take her some vacation.
It's something. It seems like a little vacation would do anybody good.
Bring Jaylene in more than just 1 day a week.
She's not able to take the town hall, just pick up the town office.
No, she's only coming in 1 day a week, but. Don't really go much 1 day a week.
She's been coming in more than that when she can.
Okay.
I told her we have extra money until July.
Do you feel like she's coming along?
Would you consider taking a couple of days, like a Monday and a Wednesday? And then pick up the pieces on Thursday?
Both of them can handle it. 2 days?
Selectmen's meetings and other things.
How about a Saturday and Monday? I'm just trying to get you some time away.
Sorry, I'll figure it out.
I still think you should pay her for a week, which takes the pressure off. And then have her figure out how she's gonna use some of this time, especially because she's gonna get more time. And our current personnel policy says she's gonna lose it.
Yeah, you don't wanna lose it.
No.
But we can't build it up, we can take you 105 hours from 1 year, plus 105 hours from the next year, plus 105 hours from the next year, and then.
Well, she didn't use any of it, how she got to the 105.
Well, no, she got to 105 by being 3-year employee. You read that, read the,
We don't give her 105 hours every year. Right, you get
Starting this year, yes.
So, right, but right now you're at 105 that you've built up each year.
Sorry, I just got interrupted. Missed what you just said.
So her previous 3 years have added up to 105. Now this year, she'll start getting.
No,
No.
70.
That's not how it works.
70
The first
this year.
You're
So
at,
I have 105 built up and then I'll earn another 70 in the year we're in.
I'm still standing at my original suggestion. We give her 40 hours of paid vacation without her taking time off. We buy it out.
Just a 40 hours.
But right now, yeah. And then have her start taking some time.
Like, even if it's just a day here and a day there.
Yeah.
What do you think, Leon?
It's up to you.
Well, we'd like to know your opinion. What would be a perfect scenario for you?
I can't take a week off.
In other words, perfect scenario would be a week, but you can't do that. It's not.
But if we,
How long's it gonna
if
take
we
someone
bought out,
training to get you to that point that you can take a week? I mean.
It would have to be the right week, that's for sure.
Do you
it'd have to be
do
after.
you need volunteers to go in and help out?
No.
That,
It's more than just waiting on customers.
Oh, yes,
Oh,
absolutely. I know that. I'm just saying, I've worked in offices my whole life.
And
Yes.
a mistake was made today, so we had to spend 2 hours fixing a little tiny mistake. I let her do it, but it took time.
Hate it when that
it's often
happens.
will aid in the black up the mistake later.
Mm.
I mean, we can pay her for 2 weeks, but I just, I would like to see her start taking some time off for her own peace of mind and
Summer's coming.
Perfect time.
Yeah, I think.
so that we're not in this scenario next
I'd
year.
like to see her taking some time off as well. I think it does anybody some good.
When do the 105 hours allocated? At the end of this year?
I already have 105,
Right, your next bunch.
and after 3 years, I get another 2 weeks. It's after 3 years.
So you're saying right now you have 105 plus you've got, because of your annual date, you also have this other amount that's hanging for you another 2 weeks. It's really active right now.
I would say. I'm in my 3rd year.
Where is it that you?
I mean, 4th year.
Okay.
After 3 years, you get 70 hours.
No. And 105 hours after 5 years of employment. Am I right?
Anyway, do you want to table it?
No, I wanna, I wanna resolve this. I wanna pay you or not pay you. Well, I think she's so far ahead that she's never gonna be able to take all that time off. So do we say you lose it? Or do we say we're gonna pay you for a week or 2 weeks by law?
I'm not sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm just not really thinking this is flip flop. So I don't know. I'm starting by this. I'm not sure what is the right way to go about it.
I'm just reminding you that the past 3 years that retirement has been budgeted 1,800 or more every year. I have not touched it, so that's gone back into fund balance, and it's in the budget this year.
We could pay a vacation out of that.
This is in the administration, so.
I'm gonna calculate it out. I don't know whether. How far that would get us.
1 week.
1 week.
Well, it's more than 1 week, but
I still suggest we buy out 1 week of her vacation and then ask that she start taking time off, even if it's by the day. Selectively, so she starts using some of it. Because I don't want to be in this position next year where we're literally raising her salary because she's not taking her time off.
All right, what do you think, Gabby? Really?
You think they'd get along without you a day or so here and there?
depends which day. Depends.
They learn a lot.
Not if it's a day when she's like putting
Payroll
select
or
board-
something like that.
payroll and select board packets and all this other stuff. But there are some weeks that are about to have more slack, like
Wednesday, some 5 weeks, months, we're done. for 2
and 5
weeks.
weeks, months, it should have a little bit more slack, maybe, depending. As long as it's not in the middle of month's end, but month's end could be done the day after. You know, yeah, I do want you to start taking some vacation.
So we pay her for 35 hours. And, which is what they call 1 week's. Pay her for 35 hours. And then, not let her lose any this year, but give her a chance to use up any excess this year. So that she's only carrying over what's she's allowed to have out there, which is 105. Right?
Yeah, okay.
Which means you'd have to take you 2 weeks, and we pay you for a week.
Before the end of this year.
Before the end of this year. That sound reasonable?
That sounds reasonable.
I'd like to, do I need to make a motion for that?
You can make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we pay, Leanna a week's vacation. Out of that other money that's in the administrative budget that hasn't been used, the 1,800. And, that she start taking time off. So that she doesn't have to lose any vacation. Hopefully take 2 weeks, a day at a time or whatever she's comfortable with.
I second it.
All in favor? Okay. Avcog ballot, did we finally get that? Well, so on the Avcog ballot, there is only one person running for each role. President is Shiloh Lafreniere, Vice President is Daniel Loring. One's from Jay, one's from Minot. Treasurer is Amy Bernard from Franklin County, and Secretary Matt Garside in Poland.
They sound
I think those are perfect. The other option is
Doesn't get
writing.
any better.
So I'll just fill in the circles of the people that are running.
And it sounds. Unless we all need to sign it.
Okay, here you go. There's no signature asked for. Good, you wanna put it, you can put it down.
Yeah, appointments and resignations.
Okay, appointments and
I
resignations.
would like to appoint David Bowen to the solid waste.
I second that.
Did he fill out a sheet?
He did, he split before he had James.
They're
I
on the,
still-
they're on the table.
Oh, well. He sat right there, he sat right there and put his hand up when I said I was looking for people.
I could drop one when I head over that direction to Mexico tomorrow at his door.
You can do that.
Okay. Sound all right?
And,
Excellent. And is there, you said you might have another one?
I do.
Ooh,
Lenny, I said she would be willing to go back on the solid waste committee. Interesting combo there. Did that give us enough to get one? Good. We still do
Thank you.
one more person who doesn't solve this committee. But I think that those two appointments are people who will take it seriously.
good. And that will give them a quorum.
It'll give them a quorum, and I think, like I said, I think that those people will take it seriously.
Will you make sure Lenny gets a form? Or she can stop by or whatever?
I wish to be on the committee forum.
I got David, so I'll drop it off tomorrow. Okay, any training?
Did you sign that for Dave? Oh,
I thought I was bringing this to him to sign it.
oh no, that's his appointment paper.
Oh, gotcha.
He has to come in to sign that.
The other one is Lenny.
There wasn't a motion made.
So Lenny?
Yep.
Yeah,
You were discussing it, no one made a motion.
I thought.
So I move to appoint Lenny Eichmann to the solid waste committee.
Second.
All in favor? All three of us. And now we have a
And
committee.
I will get after it tomorrow as well. I will get after.
Did you
tomorrow.
switch off with somebody to get that?
Her husband was on and never showed up, so she said she would do it instead.
Well, she's doing exactly what her husband did.
What can I say?
That's why they should fill out the forms before you appoint them to know they're interested in.
Yeah, well, I think both of these people just told me they're the
Okay, any
Dave is clearly interested in the solid waste program. I think he's demonstrated that. And
what is it, training? Okay. And here is personnel practices workshop. Leanne and Jaylene would like to attend, and it's on May 1st, May Day.
so we would need 95 times 2 is 199. Is that right?
Yep, it is
Yeah.
190.
So we need $190. I will, I move that we take $190 out of our training budget in order to,
Yeah,
add Jaylene and Leanne to the personal practices.
And I second that.
I went to this
All in favor?
a long time ago.
Okay. Do you need any of these back for these hours?
They're yours.
Okay,
So is this in your packet?
It is. yes.
Okay, so it's just, this is the only new thing.
Main policy review. So, I would like to move that this meeting be recessed until,
Wednesday at 7:30. Yes,
7:30.
at the end of budget.
Oh, it's gonna be afterwards meeting.
That starts at 6.
Yeah, okay. I'll do it. We'll do it.
And the only thing we're doing is the,
Yeah, all we're doing is looking at that ordinance.
yeah,
Is there a second?
I second it.
I thought you made the motion.
she made those. I second it.
Okay.
All in favor?
Get her done. So select board is gonna be after the budget committee.
And, so we are recessing right now, and we will, we're not gonna